Good morning to all the participants. This is an online program. I think all of you would be aware on how an online programmation and how teaching learning process happens in online. The expert who gives the lecture, he would have all efforts. The listener, he has to have only one effort whereby he has to be attentive. But unfortunately, we'll be occupied with other activities also, which we all understand. We do hope that you will be able to pay more attention to this program. And again, if at all you people have any doubts, you are free to interrupt me at any point of time. It is not the way whereby you can have Q&A at the end of the program. You can interrupt me at any point of time so that it becomes helpful to all. I think the terms and conditions you all would be aware, like attendance at least 80% and assessment would be done, and accordingly the certificates would be issued. Like there were people who were asking how attendance would be taken. Like MS Teams, Anna University has an licensed option version rather, so we can download the attendance and we'll be able to see at what time the participants had logged in and what time they had logged out. Like so, those options do exist. As you all would be aware, like the speakers whom we have identified all are from industries. Like so it'll not be an normal academic training program whereby only academicians would be addressing the audience. Like it is hardcore industrial people, because we do energy audits, and our institute had done almost 100 energy audits plus, and I was instrumental in associating with it for almost half of it. So it will be a hardcore industrial oriented training program. Hope you all would be able to get highest advantage of attending this program. With those introductory remarks, we will go on to the first topic, energy audit. Again, let it be interactive session. The more the interaction it becomes, the more advantageous it will be for all. Energy audit, first we will understand about audit, then we will speak about energy. Any idea on what basically this audit mean? White background would be clear. Yeah. Any informations or any inputs on what basically does this word audit mean?
It's verification of usage of energy.
Verification of usage of energy. That's an excellent answer. Apart from that, any other answers? Verification of usage of energy. That's an excellent answer. Good. Apart from that?
Sir, how well energy is utilized, and what are the measures that you can take to improve the energy, increase the efficiency in the plant, in the particular plant?
Yeah, superb, sir. Superb, sir. Okay. So see, the answers, whatever I got now, both means to energy audit. But I was asking you, what basically does this word audit mean? In fact, the answers what I had got as of now, both these things were correlated with energy audit. But first, we will understand what basically this word audit means. Then we'll go in for energy audit. Any other inputs of audit?
Yeah, we can add one more point, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's an optimal usage of energy, actually. So if you know that, so then after you can consume it in optimal way, and then accordingly you can operate your all appliances, or in a what way you can say the optimal consumption of energy.
Yeah, optimal consumption of
And
energy.
just to know this, we need to perform certain exercise or certain practices that is called the audit.
Audits. Okay. Yeah. Super. Okay. Okay. So now, what basically this word audit means? We balance the inflows with outflows. As simple as that. We balance the inflows and outflows. If it is a financial audit, cash inflows will be taken, and cash outflows it will be accounted. We will try to ensure that whatever cash inflow had happened, we were able to have it accounted. Whatever expenses that has happened, once when we submit up all those things, we'll be able to have it with the inflows. Once when it is done, we will tell that the audit is over. Likewise, as the three participants had informed, energy audit, as the name indicates, that is a mechanism through which we'll be able to balance the energy. Energy audit we'll be able to balance the energy, whatever that has come into the plant and whatever that has gone out of the plant. Let me make it as an example. It becomes quite easier. This is an industry. My production process happens over here. For supporting this production process, I'll be having accessories, utilities to be precise. One can be air compressors. Second can be air conditioners. Third can be an water pumps. The last can be fans, blowers and all. Apart from this, this house will be having some inherent electric motors as such, electric motor 1, electric motor 2, all those things and all. Energy audit per se can be correlated with the different aspects. One broad input is for making these components to work, what we do is that we'll be drawing the power from the grid. We'll be having a step down transformer over here, and we'll be able to have the line connected to these things and all. So the power goes to these components, bus bar, common bus bar, we'll be able to have it done. And then accordingly, we'll be able to support the process. Like here, the energy audit per se, what in a broader view, what it means is that out of 100% of electricity, whatever I've drawn here, or 1000 units or 1000 kilowatt hours, whatever I've drawn here, how much kilowatt hour has gone for this one and how much units has gone for these three things or these four items. Like, so we'll be able to account the energy, whatever these things had taken, whatever these quantities had taken with that of input energy, then we call it as energy audit. This is clause 1 or case 1. Like second, we can have a narrowed attention whereby we can take one motor alone. If it is a motor, the input electricity, whatever we give, electricity input, whatever we give, that will be given out in different ways. One would be the mechanical output energy, whatever we'll be able to get. Apart from that, there are some associated losses, what we people would be aware, like rotor copper losses, stator copper losses, hysteresis losses, eddy current losses, friction losses, windage losses, and we go for unaccounted losses or miscellaneous losses. Like whatever, suppose if the motor is a 10 HP motor, okay, there is also one more input what I should give you. If we specify the motor as 10 HP, then as we all are aware, it will be approximately 7.5 kilowatt. Almost 90% of the people will be having a wrong opinion like this. The opinion what people will be having is, if this is motor, if this is the power, whatever we supply to the motor, 3 phase, 1 neutral, the power consumption by the motor will be 7.5 kilowatt if this motor is switched on. Actually, what we mean as 7.5 kilowatt or 10 HP, what it basically means is that the mechanical energy, what that will be available at the shaft. We never mean on the electricity, whatever this motor takes in. Always understand that. If we tell the motor is a 10 HP motor, it means that 10 horses equivalent power would be available at the shaft of the motor. So the 7.5 kilowatt, this divided by the inherent efficiency of the motor will be equal to the amount of power, whatever we draw from the grid. If the efficiency of the motor is 0.9, then the amount of power, whatever we draw, then the amount of power, whatever we draw is 7.5 divided by 0.9. The motor would be able to draw 8.3 kilowatt of electricity from the grid. Out of that 8.3 kilowatt, 7.5 kilowatt of equivalent mechanical energy will be available at the shaft. This is one input. Okay. Second, as we were informing earlier, out of the energy input, whatever that we have given in, see here, 8.3 kilowatt was the mechanical, was the electrical input. The mechanical output, whatever we have got is 7.5. The remaining 10%, because the efficiency, whatever we have taken is 90. So the remaining 10% will go for these losses like stator copper loss, rotor copper loss, hysteresis loss, eddy current loss, F and W losses, and unaccounted losses. Okay. Now, as we all would be aware, the general normal thing what we do for arriving at the efficiency of the motor is efficiency of motor is equal to how do we arrive at the efficiency of the motor? Inputs, please. Any idea how we arrive at the efficiency of the motor? Because I want to have the session to be interactive. Any idea?
It is nearly 95 to 98.
Yes, sir. Okay, but how do we arrive at the efficiency of the motor, sir? Efficiency range is what it was addressed, but I was asking, how do you estimate the efficiency of a motor?
Output upon input.
Yes, very easy. Output by input. What is the mechanical energy what I have got as compared to the electrical energy what we have supplied in? Here, the output mechanical energy what I've got is 7.5 kilowatt. Input is 8.3 kilowatt. So efficiency becomes 90%. This is clause 1. This is option 1 where we were able to balance these things and all. Second approach is there, what we call it as indirect method, where efficiency we have it as 100% minus percentage sum of all losses. This is first method through which we will be able to arrive at the efficiency of the motor. There is also another method which we call it as indirect method. In the indirect method, we will be able to arrive at the efficiency of the whole motor as efficiency is 100% minus percentage sum of all losses. These losses can be rotor copper loss, stator copper loss. We'll be able to quantify all these losses. So this minus 100% minus loss 1 plus loss 2 plus loss 3 up to loss n. We'll be able to arrive at the efficiency. See, the logic is, if the losses encountered by the motor, if it is 0, if the losses is 0, then efficiency is 100%. Whatever electricity I gave in, equivalent amount of electrical power, mechanical power would have been available. Because of these losses, the output power, mechanical energy obtained is lower. Okay. Now, this method also informs me the efficiency. This method also informs me the efficiency. This is method 1. This is called as direct method. This is option 2, indirect method, like arriving at the efficiency by indirect method. Both these things would be able to inform us efficiency. Like, what is the advantage of this method? Second method, though it takes more amount of time, requires more instruments, all those things and all. Why we prefer this method, method 2, for arriving at the efficiency of the motor? Why this method 2 is preferred for arriving at the efficiency of the motor? Any inputs?
Because all the losses, we can consider all the losses. Everything will come into effect.
Yes, sir. Everything will be. See, after accounting all these losses, you are able to arrive at the efficiency of the motors 90%. Without doing all these exercises, straight away, if I have a dynamometer over here, I can have it attached. I'll be able to have this mechanical energy available. The input electrical energy, it was also available. Efficiency also could have been obtained. Why we adopt indirect method?
We can find the areas to arrest.
Yes, true. Yeah, see, the first method will be able to inform me the efficiency of the motor. Only that information I'll be able to have. Whereas second method would be able to inform me the same value of efficiency. Apart from that one, it will be able to indicate me the losses where these energy goes off. If the friction losses identified among these losses is highest, bearing seems to be faulty, that has to be attended to, whereby there is an option whereby I'll be able to identify the cause so that I can improve the efficiency of the motor. This is what we call it as energy audit, whereby we balance the input electrical energy, whatever we gave, and we accounted for various outputs. As a result, we'll be able to identify the cause through which we will be losing higher amount of energy. Once when we identify that cause, once when we arrest that, it has an opportunity whereby we'll be able to improve the efficiency of the motor. Clear? So this is the broad introduction of what basically an energy audit means. With that input, we'll go in for the second slide. And the whole slide will be for 5 parts. And the first part, as you all would be aware, basics will help us to understand the whole context in a much easier way. And if the understanding is good, we'll be able to apply, and then accordingly we'll be able to reinvent or reinvent, and then accordingly we'll be able to prosper. Once when this understanding is better, it becomes easier for us to progress well. That is the first one. We will understand about the whole energy, all those things and all, and energy audit also. Second is Indian energy scenario, where we stand, to be very precise how pathetic we are. That information probably, if we people are aware, it becomes easier, so that we'll be able to understand the importance of energy audits, all those things and all. The environmental impacts of energy, whatever we people guzzle, the environmental impacts will be informed on the third part. The fourth part, what are the various options through which we will be able to improve the Indian energy scenario? Apart from that one, we'll be able to lower the environmental impacts. All those things will be available as option number 4. Last, we will see about the energy audits, how it is being done, what are the steps that has to be adopted, what are the barriers for energy audit. So 5 parts. The first part, what is energy? Basics to start with. Any answers? What is energy?
Capacity to do work.
Yeah, excellent answer. This is the capacity to do work. This is the general information, whatever we people see about. This is the capacity to do work. Okay. Unit for this. What is the SI unit that we give for energy?
Joules.
Super.
Kilowatt.
Joules is one. Joules is one, or even we can go for calories also. If I drink 1 cup of milk, it will be able to give us 100 kilocalories. So calories is the amount of energy what we people will be able to get, or what we people will be able to give out. This calories, or this is also called as joules, as you people would be aware, like 1 kilocalorie is equal to 4.186 kilojoules. 1 kilocalorie is equal to 4.186 kilojoules. Okay. Now, what is this power? What is energy now? See, energy, we people have understood what basically it is. It is the capacity for us to do any work. And what does this power mean?
Work with respect to times.
Superb. Yeah, true, sir. Excellent, sir. See, power is nothing but deliverance of energy with time as the base. How much joules I will be able to give for every second. That is the concept what we people have to understand. Like so much kilojoules per second, as we people are aware, it is nothing but watt. If an electric motor operates, it will be able to absorb so much amount of electrical energy for every second. It will be able to give so much amount of output mechanical power for every second. Like joules per second is what we mean it as power. Okay. Now comes a basic question. Electricity board would be available. In our state, it is called as TNEB, Tamil Nadu State Electricity Board, like, or Tangentco also. In Andhra Pradesh, they call AP Transco, or SDPCL, Southern Power Distribution Company Limited. And in Kerala, it will be having other names, and across India, it will be having various names. Like the monthly electricity charges, whatever you pay for your house, you pay for your energy, or you pay for the power, whatever you take. The electricity bills, whatever we pay for our house, we pay for the energy, or we pay for the power?
It's for energy, sir.
It's for energy. Okay. So this energy, true, sir, energy, it is called as kWh.
Yes. 1 unit means 1 kilowatt hour, and the charges are based on per unit consumption. I mean.
Superb, sir. Superb, sir. So 1 unit is equal to 1 kilowatt hour. Pan India, approximately the average cost of electricity will be rupees 5.5, 5.5 for every unit of electricity. Like this 1 kilowatt hour, you can convert it into joules also. This is 3,600 joules, as you people would be aware. Like, see, the logic is kilojoule, sorry. 1 kilowatt, 1 kilojoule per second. Hour is nothing but 3,600 seconds. So these two will go out. 1 unit of electricity is also called as 3,600 kilojoules. This is the way through which we'll be able to convert electrical energy into heat energy. As energy engineers, or probably as people who are interested in energy, the conversion thing what we adopt is 1 unit of electricity is equal to 3,600 kilojoules of heat energy. Okay. So now you people would have understood how energy and power differs amongst themselves. Like now, what are the various forms of energy? What are the various types of energy?
Sir, is it the internal energy, kinetic energy, and potential energy?
Okay, so kinetic energy is one example, potential energy is another example, mechanical energy is another example, electrical energy, chemical energy, heat energy. There are different forms of energy. This is one method through which we can mention the types of energy. Second mode, as you people would be aware, apart from that, any other way? Classification of
we can classify like energy in storage and energy in motion.
superb. Energy in storage and energy in motion. Great, sir. So we can reorganize these things as the one what it has been informed now. Apart from that, any other broad ways through which we can classify this energy?
Renewable
Commercial
and
energy,
non-renewable energy.
non-commercial.
Yeah, okay. One is renewable energy. Second is non-renewable energy.
Commercial energy, non-commercial energy.
Commercial energy and non-commercial energy, both of course. There is also one more way, commercial and non-commercial. Non-commercial, there is nothing called as non-commercial. Until and unless you don't have a market, it will be under non-commercial. There are several industries which has been affected. Briquetting industry to name. Earlier, the loose biomass was available as surplus. It was available at a lower rate. Once when it was briquetted and once when it had a market, the price for it had exponentially increased. Like so, commercial and non-commercial, until unless the market value hasn't been established, non-commercial thing will exist. Once when you have a price, once when you have a demand, automatically it goes into the other sector, like commercial sector. Okay. Now this
Primary and
renewable and
secondary.
ma'am.
Primary energy and secondary energy.
Yes, madam. True. There's also another thing which is called as primary energy and secondary energy. Okay. Now this renewable energy, examples for these things.
Solar, wind, biogas.
Solar, wind, ocean thermal energy, tidal energy, wave energy, biogas energy, all those things are all.
Thermal biomass.
True, sir. What is the thing which is because the intention of asking this one, though it looks rudimentary, but still almost half the people wouldn't be aware about the common feature. What is common for solar, wind, tidal, ocean energy, hydel energy, all those things and all?
They do not get replenished, so we can use them again and again, reusable and free of cost.
They won't get a rather inexhaustible source of energy is what people always inform. That is true to some extent, because as you people would be aware, sun has a life. Sun has a life. Sun's life has been estimated like so. Once when sun goes out, all these renewable energy sources, whatever we have identified, will go down. So inexhaustible source, perennial source doesn't hold good now. That is one inference. Second, the example solar, wind, tidal,
non-polluting energy
hydro.
sources.
Yeah. Sir, please.
Non-polluting energy sources.
Non-polluting energy sources, 100% true, sir. These are environmentally benign sources, non-polluting sources. Like, apart from that, there is also one more way through which we can define all those things and all. Any other way through which we can define these things and all, renewable energy sources? Through which we can
lower grade energy or higher grade energy, like with respect to the calorific value of what we get.
True, low grade and high grade energy, yes, sir. To some extent, the renewable energy, whatever we get is dispersed. We put all of our efforts, we concentrate them to higher grade energy. It is true, sir. Apart from that, sir. Okay, now we will take two examples. It becomes easier for us to understand the whole concept. Like we will take wind as an example and we will take hydroelectric power plant as an example. In case of wind energy, we will take an horizontal axis windmill. This is a supporting tower which supports it, and automatically the wind blows. This makes the rotor to rotate. Mechanical energy will be available. This mechanical gets converted into electrical and we'll be able to have it done. This is case one, wind energy. We'll take an hydroelectric power plant. We construct a dam. We elevate the water level on the upstream side. So water level that is on the upstream side is an elevated level. Potential energy will be available over here, and we make the water to flow through. Penstock will be there. You have a turbine, tail race, all those things and all will be there. And we have an alternator through which we'll be able to generate like potential, kinetic, kinetic to mechanical, mechanical to electrical is what we people get. Okay. Any common thing that you have observed between wind and hydro? The intention of having this example is that it becomes easier for me to explain also. Any common feature what you have understood between this wind and hydro?
So basically, both are secondary form of energies, and the time, sun energy is responsible for producing winds in atmosphere, as well as for rains, for seasonal changes and rains and all that. Sun energy is
Yes,
the
sir,
primary.
true, sir. Yeah, true. See, this solar energy, it is also called as parental energy because this becomes the source for all energies. Like if sun goes down, automatically all these energy resources will go down. Okay. So hydrological cycle, wind movement, everything, it will get affected. Like, okay. Now, what is the common feature that you would have observed between wind energy power plant and hydro energy power plant? Any other common feature?
Kinetic energy, sir. For the wind, we require the kinetic energy of the wind, and also for the hydraulic, we require the kinetic energy is converted to mechanical energy.
True, sir. 100% true. Anything that you understand about the source of energy? What happens to the source of energy?
Source, sir. All are natural source.
All are natural. Sir, even coal is also available naturally only, sir. Any comment on the source? The conversions of
the
source.
availability, the source availability will not be 100% all the time, because whenever we have a certain level of the dam, then only we can produce electricity. Whenever we have wind velocity, then only the generation will be power generation will be done.
Okay, now let me take another example, sir. It becomes quite easier. I take an IC engine. For generating mechanical energy at here. What we do is that we'll be adding petrol plus air mixture over here. We have an igniter which ignites, which goes out as flue gas. This is case one. As we are working on thermal power plants, Rankine cycle, we all would be aware, like we have a boiler which generates steam. We have a turbine which is coupled to an alternator. Condenser would be available. We have a pump through which the whole process happens. Thermodynamically speaking, there are different things what that gets involved. Like here, we'll be able to add in heat at constant pressure. Work will be done at isentropy. Work output will be obtained here. Here, heat will be rejected at constant pressure. Here, work would be done at constant entropy. Thermodynamic analysis, we'll do all those things and all, reheat all those things and all, and accordingly, we'll be able to have it done. But here, the point of understanding is that we put coal over here. We put coal over here. We put petrol over here. This coal gets burnt over here. It gives heat energy. Water absorbs the heat. Water gets itself altered into steam. The coal will be available as ash. The petrol, whatever we have onto an IC engine, will get burnt over here. It will be available as a flue gas. There is a change in the source. Whereas in the renewable energy, whatever that we people see, the source remains as source. Only the energy that is available in the source, it gets altered. The kinetic energy, what that is available with the wind has been harnessed. Mechanical energy has been obtained. Mechanical was getting converted into electrical. But wind was available as wind. I repeat, water that was available on the upstream side of the dam, the energy available with the water has been used for all these applications. Water remains as water at the downstream also. We don't convert the source, or in other words, all energy resources in which the source remains as source can be classified under renewable energy sources. Clear? This definition holds good for everything except one thing that is called as biomass. But there we call it as renewable because we'll be able to replenish it. That is the only advantage. But apart from that one, any other resource, whatever you have, like the source will remain as source. We tap the energy, what that is associated with the source. Okay. So that basic understanding has to be there. Okay. Next comes the fourth one, high grade energy versus low grade energy. We use only, or else rather we tell electricity as an high grade energy. Rest majority of the other energies we call it as low grade energy. Just understand whatever form of energy I have kinetic energy or potential energy or mechanical energy or chemical energy or heat energy, whatever forms of energy that I have, our intention is to have some technological option through which we'll be able to convert to electric energy. Whatever form of energy we have, we try to convert that into electric energy. Now comes why we are fond of electrical energy or what makes it to be so salient. What are the hallmarks of electrical energy as compared to various other energy resources? We convert all these resources into electrical energy. What is the hallmark of electrical energy as compared to other energy resources? Any inputs? Whatever form of energy we have, we just immediately have technologies through which we'll be able to convert into electrical energy, or rather, we call these electrical energy as high grid energy. First one, why we have so much attraction or attention towards electrical energy, or the advantages offered by electrical energy as compared to various other energy forms.
Electrical energy can be very easily converted to other forms of energy. That's one.
Superb,
And
sir.
we can easily distribute and transfer it from one point to another point.
Superb, sir. First advantage, the first and foremost is that conversion from electrical energy to any other forms of energy, efficiency of that one is much higher. That is first advantage. Hence, we converted to this one. Second, transmission and distribution. It is quite easy. Mechanical energy, suppose if I have to transfer from one end to other end, there are different options. We have one shaft over here. We'll be having another shaft over here. We can attach it with a belt drive. Or even we can go for gear mechanisms, multiple gears, then accordingly at last we'll be able to have it done. Like chain drives also it can be done. There are again options like, but transmitting the energy across India, it is not an easy affair. Like, so electrical energy has the advantage whereby we'll be able to have this one done. Third most important advantage of electrical energy, apart from these two, conversion is easier, conversion efficiency is also more, transmission is easier. Apart from that one most important aspect, one most important advantage.
Some
Control.
form of electrical energy can be saved and converted to DC and can be utilized.
Yes, sir. So conversion aspect has been already informed. Apart from that one, controlling the electrical energy is much easier. Just with the help of a switch, we'll be able to have it done. Like unlike mechanical energy, because mechanical will be having its inertia. Inertial effect will be more like, so quick stopping, it is not feasible. Whereas electricity, it can be done like quick stopping, quick stalling is easier. So these are the advantages of electrical energy. Hence, we rate electrical energy as a high grid energy as compared to other things which call it as low grid energy. Okay. Now, last but not the least, energy audit. As was informed to you earlier, we balance the energy, whatever that has flown into the system with the outputs. As a result, we'll be able to identify the areas where we lose energy. Once when we are able to prune down those unnecessary losses, we'll be able to improve on the efficiency. Okay. Now we will see about energy scenario, an interesting factor, interesting feature also. This is one basic input what we people have to know. One among every 5 people whomever we meet in the world are Indians. One in every 5 people whomever we meet across the globe are Indians. So 20% approximately is the amount of Indian population, whatever we have like. But see the land area, what we have like just 2.5%, which is able to have so much amount of people. The last and the second last, this gives you the major problem what we people suffer like. Having so much of people, the reserves of coal is very low, and oil reserves across world, we have just 0.5% of the oil reserve, whatever we have in the globe. It's a pathetic area in which we people live in. As a result, we have no other go. We have to depend on importing energy for meeting our energy demands. We have no other options. Okay. Now, this is the scenario of India as on 1st Jan 2022. This is the scenario of India as on 1st Jan 2022. It's an interesting statistics. 10 minutes of this one will help you to understand the scenario in which we people live. The installed capacity is approximately 4 lakh megawatts. We have 4 lakh megawatt of power plants which have been installed pan India, out of which 60% are depending on thermal mode. Rather, what we do is that we burn the fuel, we generate heat. From that heat, we'll be able to have the power. This is case one. Second is a renewable energy mode, 40% approximately, 38 to be very precise, and the rest 2% will be from nuclear. This is on the capacity, installed capacity as on 1st Jan 2022, almost 4 lakh megawatts. Now, out of those 4 lakh megawatts, if we take on the thermal power plant alone, as was informed earlier, we have approximately 60% of it, which is approximately 2,40,000. Out of that 2,40,000 on thermal mode, we depend on coal for meeting 86.4%, like coal-based thermal power plants. This is the influence of coal on Indian power mix. We depend on coal for so much value. This is one. Apart from coal, we also depend on lignite, natural gas, and diesel. Diesel is a paltry amount, 0.2%. 0.2%. Okay. One thing we have to understand, like coal is the one which supplies majority of India's energy demand. Okay. What is the boon and bane of Indian coal? What is the advantage and drawback of Indian coal, typical Indian coal?
Its quality is not that good. I mean,
Yes.
Superb, sir.
It is more.
Yeah, in fact, I got the answer on the first instance itself. But the bane of Indian coal is that the ash content in Indian coal is much higher. Any approximate idea what will be the quantity of ash in typical E grade of Indian coal? There are different grades. We have from A, B to E, F. In case of India, we have E and F grade coals. Like, yes, sir. Please, ash content, sir. In case of Indian coals,
Somewhere around 5 to 30%.
5 is too low a value, sir. You can have it as 35 to 40%, sir. 35 to 40% is the amount of ash content whatever we have in Indian coals. Such a high ash content makes the coal to be inferior because the heat content will be half. I request other persons to mute. It becomes helpful. Yeah. So only 40%. Sorry, 40% of Indian coal contains ash. Let me tell it in another way. It becomes easier. If I purchase 100 kg of rice bag, if it contains 40 kg of stones in it, it will be very pathetic for me. That is case one. Apart from that one, the time whatever I spend for removing the stones from rice, that is also another issue. Third one, dumping of that ash. But now ash is an most sought after commodity. 10 years back, people were finding ways, people were having dump yards where they were having these ash dumped across, like. But now you have abundant demand for this ash, like, so it is being purchased now. The ash from these thermal power plants are disposed of at a cost now. So that's the demand. As far as ash content goes, it is highly drawback for India. What's the boon of Indian coal? What's the advantage of Indian coal? The advantage of Indian coal is that the sulfur content in Indian coal is too low. See, if we have the coals imported from Indonesia or Australia, the ash content will be between 5 to 10% imported coals. But the sulfur content in those imported coals will be much higher as compared to Indian coals. The Indian coals has lower amount of sulfur. As a result, we can avoid flue gas desulfurization. This FGD can be avoided. It becomes advantageous for us. Okay. These are the information on the coal-based thermal power plants across Indian states. Maharashtra has the highest one. Okay. Any information which are the states which gives maximum amount of coal? Approximately 5 or 6 Indian states has the maximum amount of coal. What are those Indian states? Any idea which Indian states? What are the Indian states which has highest amount of coal with them? Jharkhand, Orissa, Orissa is where? Odisha is here. Madhya Pradesh is here. Madhya Pradesh is here. West Bengal is here. These are the states which has maximal amount of coal deposits. But unfortunately, if you see the thermal power plants, what there is available in these power plants are quite low as compared to the other things and all. This is for information because we have to transport these coals like that. States which generate coal, which produce coal for India, unfortunately, they don't have more power plants, and vice versa happens. In other words, we put more amount of cost in transportation of these coals. Okay, this is lignite based. Of course, its availability is very remote as compared to coal. As you people would understand, that there are different grades of coal. Like we have peat, we have lignite, we have semi-bituminous, we have bituminous, we have semi-anthracite, we have anthracite. These are the different grades of coal. In case of India, what we speak about is these two, semi-bituminous or bituminous grade. Like Gondwana coal, all these coals and all will be of this category. And lignite is an inferior one, like which is in the second grade, like. And Neyveli is the area where we have abundant amount of coal, and accordingly we are having almost 66,000. Sorry, this has to go other way around. It is 66,210 megawatt had been installed here. The major problem with the lignite is that moisture content in case of lignite, it is almost half. Moisture content of that coal is almost half. So that is one major problem. Or else, in other words, the fuel consumption will be more because the heat content available in the whole coal will be lower. This is a CNG based power plants across Indian states. As you would be aware, refineries are located in Gujarat. So we'll be having more amount of output from these power plants. Okay. Any difference between these two, CNG versus LPG? Any inputs in what way these two differs, like CNG versus LPG?
LPG is a mixture of propane and butane, whereas CNG has almost methane content.
Superb, sir. So CNG, it is having methane, it is a lower hydrocarbon, whereas LPG is a higher hydrocarbon, propane and butane. As a result, molecular weight of this LPG will be higher, whereas this one will be lower. If CNG leaks, dispersion in air would be quick and it will go off quite immediately, instantaneously, whereas LPG, as it is denser, it will be lying on the ground for some interval of time. Okay. So these things are over. And the diesel based power plants. Okay. This is also one more important input what I should give, like among the various power plants, whatever we have, diesel power plants, as we people are aware, the efficiency of these diesel power plants will be highest. Efficiency of an Rankine cycle based power plant will be approximately 30 to 35%. We struggled hard to have this value, 35%. As mechanical engineers would be aware, we go for different options, like we go for reheat mechanism, we go for regeneration mechanism, we go for supercritical power plants. Whatever technologies that are available, we try all those options so that we'll be able to have the highest efficiency. This is case one. Case two, diesel cycle efficiency, aram say it will be 40%. Very easily, the efficiency of a diesel cycle power plant will be 40%. Now, as you people would be aware, like as per Carnot statement or as per general understanding, what we have been taught is that always choose the one which has highest efficiency. So here, if you see, diesel-based power plants are 40%. They are having a higher efficiency as compared to coal-based Rankine cycle power plants, whose efficiency will be of the order of 35%. Okay, now comes the understanding. In spite of having a higher efficiency, why diesel-based power plants are installed only to a very lower value, approximately 5 ton megawatt, as compared to 4 lakh megawatt, what that is available pan-India. Though having higher efficiency, why this one is very low as compared to others? Any inputs?
Oil reserve is less.
Sir?
Oil reserve is less. Already we said it is
Oil
only
reserve is less. Oil reserve is less. Sir, coal reserve also for us is lower, but oil reserve we can import, sir. In fact, we are importing, sir. Almost 90% of our demand is being through import only.
life cycle, sir.
Life cycle wise, diesel-based power plant and coal-based thermal power plant will be alike, sir. No major differences. In fact, diesel-based power plant, it is having different advantages. Like it is very easy to start. Instantaneously, I'll be able to have the output power. Maintenance also will be very easier. Area requirement would be compact. The emission-wise, it will not be so harmful as compared to coal-based power plants. Gaseous emissions alone, it will be there, like not like other answers, please.
Sir, like in the diesel power plants, generally for starting alone they use diesel, but they have a different fuel like heavy furnace oil and low sulfur LSHS oil will be used. But the maintenance and the operating of that particular engines with that oil is difficult, and you require steam tracing and etc. for operating this in these type of engines, because diesel alone cannot be used. But so many of the power plants are using other fuels.
Yeah, for all those people who tell that maintenance of diesel power plants will be difficult, two-wheelers and cars, what we own is an example, sir. We trust on them. Long drives also we do, like transportation also it will be done, like ships also will be operating with that one. So it is maintenance, if it is being done well, we'll be able to have it done, sir. That will not be a problem. Apart from that one, sir.
Is there the plant load factor is a difference between both the things, like how well they were operating the plant this one?
Plant load factor in case of coal, people have leaped hard. In fact, earlier the plant load factor for Indian power plants were quite low. Now they have gone to the level of 80-85%. Like diesel power plant will be having a higher PLF, sir, as compared to coal based.
So the unit cost of production, sir. Production cost will be more.
Yeah, true. In fact, that's the answer I was expecting. Like, of course, at last I was able to have the answer. Like, we will estimate what is the cost that happens, what is the money that we have to spend for every unit of electricity, what we need to have, like rupees per kilowatt hour. First, we'll take diesel for understanding. It becomes easier. Efficiency, as we all know, it is output by input. Output is 1 unit of electricity, what we are interested with. Input is mass of fuel into CV of fuel, calorific value of fuel. And this efficiency, as we all are aware, it is 0.4. This 1 kilowatt hour will be 860 kilocalories. Mass of fuel is what I wanted to know. So which comes over here. This 0.4 will come over here. Calorific value of diesel, will take it as 10,200 kilocalories per kg. Let me erase it. Yeah, okay. If this is the things what we adopt, then if we substitute, then mass of diesel, what that is required becomes 860 divided by bracket open 0.4 multiplied with 10,200 bracket close. The answer, as you people would have seen, like it is 0.210. It is 0.210. So this is 0.210 kgs of diesel is required for generating 1 unit of electricity. Now, the cost for diesel, how much it is? What is the cost for
80 to 90 rupees, I guess.
Okay, we'll take it as 90 rupees per liter. I thought of taking 100. Okay, anyway, we will go for rupees 90 per liter. Now, how do I convert this kg into liters?
Multiply by specific gravity, sir.
Divide, sir.
Oh, sorry, divide, sir.
Yeah, so specific gravity will be 0.210 divided by, we can take it as 0.8 approximately. So that becomes 0.210, this divided by 0.8, 263, 0.263 liter of diesel is required for generating 1 unit of electricity. Or in other words, I need to spend approximately 263 ml of diesel for generating 1 kilowatt hour. So for arriving at the cost, this multiplied with 90, that becomes 0.263 multiplied with 90. As you would have seen the number over here, the cost for 1 unit of electricity becomes rupees 23.73 for every unit of electricity, whatever we generate from a diesel-based power plant. I repeat, this is the fuel cost alone. This is the fuel cost alone. The cost on diesel to be spent for generating 1 unit of electricity using diesel as the fuel works to 23 rupees 73 paise. If you include all other cost, interest on equipment, rental charges, maintenance charges, labor charges, everything, the cost would be around 25 to 30 rupees per unit of electricity. I repeat, it will be 25 to 30 rupees of unit per unit of power, whatever we generate. Okay, now the same thing if we have it for coal. Now the same thing if we have it for coal, the same logic holds good here also. Efficiency of an Rankine cycle power plant is equal to 860 kilocalories by mass of coal, what that has to be substituted. Calorific value of typical Indian coal, we'll take it as 4,000 kilocalories per kg. 860 kilocalories for every 1 unit of electricity. Rankine cycle efficiency, we'll take it as 0.35. So once when you substitute mass of coal, what that has to be supplied as 860 by 0.35 multiplied with 4,000. So 860 divided by 0.35 multiplied with 4,000. So we need to have 0.614 kgs of coal for generating 1 unit of electricity. The coal, as you people would be available, as you people are aware, it is government controlled one. We have it from Coal Authority of India Limited, or Coal India Limited. The present cost of coal will be approximately 2,500 rupees a ton, or 2.5 rupees for every kg, rupees 2.5 per kg. This is the cost at which the Indian government sells the coal to the power plants. So this multiplied with 2.5. So 0.614, this multiplied with 2.5. Approximately, the fuel cost for generating 1 unit of electricity is rupees 1.5 per kilowatt hour. Now you can see, you can compare the cost between the cost of power, whatever we have from coal, and the cost of power, whatever we have it from diesel. Diesel and from coal. Okay, now comes the basic understanding. Though the efficiency of a diesel-based power plant is 40%, though the efficiency of this Rankine cycle is 35%, though this is lower, cost-wise, this is much lower, almost 15 times of it. Almost 15 times of it. The cost-wise, it is much lower. Now comes one more analysis. Why this becomes so expensive? Why this becomes so mean? Any technological understanding? Why the cost of diesel power plants per unit cost, it is higher as compared to coal-based power plants?
Cost involved in refineries, sir.
Cost involved in refineries is higher. Very
Fractional
true, sir.
distillation process.
Very true, sir. Very true. 100% accepted, sir. Sir, why we do distillation process, sir?
We purify that crude oil. Which is
To
obtained
purify
from
that
oil.
crude oil. Yes, sir, it is true. But again, I just wanted to know why we people do that. What is the necessity for having it done? See, as you people would have understood, in an IC engine, this happens, petrol plus air mixture, exhaust, and you have a spark plug. In case of a Rankine cycle power plant, we have boiler, water comes in, water absorbs heat, it goes out as steam, turbine, we generate power, low pressure steam comes over here, condenser, seawater will be available. This comes in, this goes out, this gets converted into water. Here we employ a pump through which we'll be able to have the whole process done. Here we have the coal that is being supplied over here. Coal gets converted into ash. Whereas here we admit petrol plus air or diesel, then accordingly we'll be able to have it done. Like, okay, now comes the basic understanding. Why this is giving power at a much higher cost, whereas this is giving the output power at a very low cost. Any inputs? Basic understanding.
High grade energy.
Both generates high grade energy. Okay, now the basic thing, what we have to understand is that here the fuel burns internally, IC engine. The fuel burns internally, or else in other words, residue, whatever that we have from the fuel, it should not remain. It should has to go out. Hence, we refine it to an extent whereby it gets burnt completely without leaving any residue inside the engine chamber. Whereas in case of coal, it is not so. We have the coal inside, coal gets burnt, it has ash. Here, the working fluid will make the whole piston to move down here. Working fluid will never be in contact with the fuel. This is an example of an external combustion mechanism. We have the whole process happen externally. This is an example of an internal combustion mechanism, internal combustion, IC engines. So if the whole combustion phenomena happens interior, the fuel has to be clean. For making it to be clean, we spend on those things and all. As a result, the cost per liter will be much higher. As a result, the power output cost also will be higher. Whereas here, any damn fuel it could be used will be able to have it burnt. Water will be able to absorb the heat in an indirect mechanism. Water is the working fluid, or else in other words, the working fluid will never be in contact with the fuel. That makes these power plants to be able to have power at a lower cost as compared to IC engines. Understood, sir? Okay, now with that understanding, we go in for slides again. So that is the reason why we have a very less amount of diesel power plants. Okay.
Sir, now actually we can.
Yeah, please, sir.
Yeah, we also have burners directly here in Rankine cycle to burn diesel fuel, like a furnace oil. Kind of.
Yes, sir, it is true, sir. Actually, what we do is that during the starting process, again, if that has to be explained, it is a water-walled furnace. It will be a rectangular one. Water-walled furnace. Let me have some other dark color. It becomes helpful. These are water-walled furnaces. High pressure water will move through this one. The burners will be placed diagonally on the sides, and they will ignite. As a result, once when it ignites, we'll be able to have a ball of fire like. For establishing the thermal inertia, we burn it with diesel. High temperature will be available inside the engine chamber, inside that boiler. Once when high temperature is available, pulverized coal will be admitted, then automatically we'll be able to have the whole process done. But the intention is the working fluid will never be in contact with the flame. Working fluid will absorb the heat. Here, working fluid is water. Water will absorb the heat. It will get itself altered into steam. So working fluid, it will be clean always because it will never get contaminated. Whereas here, the working fluid will be the high pressure flue gas, which has to make the piston to move down. So the working, after it gets burnt, the whole flue gas has to be sent out automatically without leaving any residue inside. Hence, the fuel, whatever we use for IC engines, has to be clean. Refining has to be done. As a result, the cost per liter of this fuel will be much higher. Rupees 90 per liter. Somewhere I've written rupees 90 per liter. It will be much higher. Whereas here I can go in for MSW also. Even municipal solid waste also can be used. It will be available over here. We'll be able to burn, and then accordingly we'll be able to have the water converted into steam. Like, okay, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir, that point is clear, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. Understood, sir. Okay. Now, cumulative analysis, if at all we see, like the thermal power plants wise, Maharashtra has the highest, and there are other states which contributes to some extent. Like, now we go for renewable energy. As we people have understood earlier, the source will remain as source. These are those examples. And here, if at all you see, the maximal amount of energy will be obtained from which energy, sir? Any idea? The hydroelectric power plant gives maximum amount of energy. Almost 33% of 34% of energy we have it from hydro. This is called a small hydro. Okay, there are different modes what people tell, like till 100 kilowatt it is called as micro, 100 kilowatt to 2 megawatt it is called as mini, 2 to 25 megawatt it is called as small hydropower, and greater than 25 megawatt people call it as hydroelectric power. These are the different scales what we have, like, but irrespective of all those things, these two things will be under hydroelectric power plants. So hydroelectric power plant will be approximately 34%. So maximal amount of power will be obtained from this one. Second, it was quite easier for us to understand. India is working on solar. India is expanding on solar like anything. 32.6% of our renewable energy power is obtained from solar. Okay, now here we have understood the cost of 1 unit of electricity, whatever we have obtained from coal-based thermal power plants, it is rupees 1.5. This 1.5, as you would have understood, this is the fuel cost alone. If you add all other costs, this cost will become approximately rupees 3 per kilowatt hour, including all losses. If at all you take T&D losses and all, this cost will become approximately 3.5 rupees per kilowatt hour, or 3 I'll take like 3 rupees 3 per kilowatt hour. Now, the Indian government, in case of solar power plants, they go for a reverse bidding option. Reverse bidding option why means what basically they do is that government of India will allocate the land to all entrepreneurs who are interested. They'll be able to give the land on lease. Like, the private entrepreneurs are open to install their SPV panels. They can install their SPV panels. The land would be available free of cost to them. Once when they install all these things and all, it will be interconnected as usual, and then it will be available, and then it will be stepped up, and we'll be able to have the power. Now, Indian government purchases power from them in another option whereby they will give the land and they will ask these entrepreneurs, whoever can give the lowest cost of power, rupees per unit of electricity. Accordingly, Indian government will be able to purchase all the power, whatever they make from that. Indian government enters into an agreement whereby Indian government will be able to purchase all these powers if their cost per unit of electricity is lowest among the people who have gone for the bid. 3 months back, I was able to see a value. I was even quite shocked. The value was approximately rupees 2 per unit of electricity. This is the cost of power, whatever we have it from solar. Indian government need not invest any money, just they have to have their land. The entrepreneurs would be able to install these things and all, and they'll be able to export the power to the grid. Like rupees 2 per unit of electricity is the cost that we'll be able to have from these SPV things and all. That makes the solar to get to such a high level. Proliferation is so high because technological advancements had become huge. As a result, we are able to have the output power at the lowest possible cost. The wind again, 26.5%. Like hydroelectric power plants, the state which has more amount of water will be having higher amount of hydroelectric power. As usual, Punjab, the land of 5 rivers, automatically it will be having the highest amount of output power. Other renewable energy resources like here, Tamil Nadu stands number 1. Any idea what makes it to be so?
Wind, sir. Wind energy.
Wind, superb, sir. So among the various states of India, why Tamil Nadu alone has more amount of wind? Any options? Any answers? Why Tamil Nadu alone has more amount of wind as compared to other states? Like?
Because of coastal belts and Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats.
Coastal belt, peninsula, eastern. Yeah, in fact, I was able to have the answer from him. Like Eastern Ghats would be available here, Western Ghats would be available over here. Funneling effect, it happens. Funneling effect. As a result, the mean wind velocity available at this part of the country will be higher. As a result, wind-based power plants are much higher at this area. Okay, total renewable energy-based power plants. This is how the whole thing happens. Like. This is one more important input, like nuclear energy as far as India goes, like, and Tamil Nadu stands number 1 as compared to other states. Any technical answers why it is so? Any technical answers why nuclear power plants are located more in southern part of India as compared to other states?
Again, coastal belts, sir.
See, sir, now coastal belt.
The reason is, I think,
coastal belt is available right from Gujarat to this West Bengal. All these are coastal belts only. Why?
So isotopes are available.
No, sir. In fact, India purchases nuclear fuel from Australia. We import the fuels.
Seismological effects are more in Himalayan region.
Superb, sir. Superb, sir. So this part of India is under non-seismic zone. This part of India is under non-seismic zone. So the impacts caused due to earthquakes on the operational aspects of nuclear power plant can be avoided. Fukushima, I think all of you would be aware in Japan how it has happened. Like so, in order to avoid those impacts, it will be done. Now this is the cumulative status. This is the cumulative state whereby all resources has been combined together. This is how we generate 4 lakh megawatt of power as on 1st Jan 2022. Okay, if you take all these things as a resource, we depend on coal for almost half, and we have all other resources through which we'll be able to meet the demand. Okay, this is cumulative installed on various Indian states, and this is the percentage installed. We will have it across, and this is one interesting scenario what I wanted to inform you. This is proliferation of renewable energy in different states. Like there are some things what I wanted to highlight. Like as we people are aware, necessity makes us to invent. Necessity makes us to invent. Lakshadweep is an area which is located as an island. For it to get diesel or coal becomes a trouble. So they've installed SPV based ones and all. They are able to meet their demand 100% by solar itself. Likewise, constraints will ensure that we have to depend on renewable energy. Okay, this is on the source, like what are the things and all, how it has happened. And in fact, I was informed that the time is over. So let me try to cut short at least this one. It becomes helpful. This is how the generation pattern of India had grown from 2010 to 2020 for 1 decade. Owing to COVID, you would be able to see that the growth is not much higher. Like the industries had gone down. Okay. Now, whatever we people have seen, see earlier we have seen like coal meets the installed capacity by almost 50%. See, I told you, this is power. Whatever that was informed to you, this is the installed capacity megawatts. Okay. Now, if you see on the energy pattern, this is units of electricity, kilowatt hour. We depend on coal for meeting 75% of our electrical demands. Almost 76% of our energy is obtained only from coal. Though the number on solar was much higher, you will be quite shocked to see that it is only 1.99. It is only 2. There were talks that was informed, people were informing about PLF, as you people are aware, plant load factor. The kilowatt hour what I have generated as compared to kilowatt hour what I can produce, or the installed capacity. Or I can write as generate if it operates 100%. Plant load factor for sun is too low because only during the days of sun I'll be able to have the output power. So plant load, in fact, 1 kilowatt SPV power plant on a day, it will be able to give only approximately 5.5 units of electricity. 1 kilowatt SPV power plant on a day, it will be able to give approximately 5.5 units of electricity. If I install 1 kilowatt diesel power plant, if it operates on a day, it will be able to give me 24 units of electricity. Now see how the plant load factor plays a role. Installed capacity wise, both are same. Installed capacity wise, both are same. But energy wise, if at all we see, an SPV power plant will be able to give just 1/5 of energy, whatever I have it from other power plants. So these are the values what you people have seen. They are the installed capacity. This gives the installed capacity. But on the amount of energy, whatever we generate, on the kilowatt hours, we depend on coal for meeting almost 76% of our energy demand. Okay. The general things, what that has to be done, what we people have to understand. Like, and consumption pattern wise, if at all we see, almost half the energy, whatever we generate, goes for industries, and half of this goes for domestic and agriculture area. Okay. And this is how Indian population versus electricity consumption had happened. Like 1.3 billion people are there in India, and so much gigawatt hour we take per year. Okay, this is another analysis. This is to inform how the standard of living of Indians have become higher. Out of 100% of power, what that was made in 1947, almost 70% was taken by industries. Domestic wise, it is too low, 10% only. But in 2020, the installed capacity wise, it is much higher. The installed capacity wise, we have gone higher. And also apart from that one, the domestic, the standard of living of the people had become higher. We were able to have a higher value also. Clear? Per capita, how much one Indian consumes electricity per year? We have been to a very low value, and now we have been to a higher value of the order of 1,208 units of electricity per Indian for every year. These are the interesting energy facts that we people have to understand. With this one, the first part would be over. I'll take a break. The second session, it will start. After that one, whenever I have time, I'll be able to inform you about the importance of energy audit, so that the other 4 parts I can update you. The first important thing is that India is the 3rd largest power producer, consumer also. And one most important thing, India, as we people are aware, agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. We supply almost 20% of power to agriculture. This is the highest among all the countries. This is the highest among all the countries. And as you people would have seen, like every Indian would be taking approximately 1,200 units, which is still low as compared to advanced countries. Like we have surplus power generation potential as on date, but infrastructure prevents us to have it to all ends of the people. T&D losses. This is one important factor what we people have to understand. 1/5 of power, whatever we generate, we lose. 1/5 of power, whatever we generate, we lose. Transmission wise, as you people are aware, I square R losses. They step up, step down, they do all these things and all. As a result, this I square R losses would be as low as possible. Transmission wise, Indian losses would be approximately between 8 to 10%. This is on par with industrial things and all. Distribution losses, we have more, rather untapped or unmetered quantity is more. We are losing higher amount of power on that end. So it has to be done. Of course, digital meters have been installed. Long way to go. long way to go so that the distribution losses can be avoided. As a result, we'll be able to account the people who are having the power. Like coverage wise, it is 99.3%. As I told you, 1.3 billion out of this 0.7 is a huge number. Okay, so we'll be able to see the environmental impacts of these energy aspects. The first aspect or the first environmental impact, what we people would be aware, is global warming. Almost all of us would be aware about this one, global warming. Second, ozone hole. Let us understand how it happens, then we will see how it could be avoided. First one, global warming. As you people would have seen, the interiors of the car, as I was explaining earlier, the interiors of the car, irrespective of the time, it will always be warmer to you. The temperature, whatever you have at the interior of the car, as compared to ambient temperature, what that is prevailing in the interior of the car will be higher than what that is available in the ambient. Any answers why so? What makes the interior of the car to have a higher temperature as compared to ambient temperature at any point of time? Any inputs? Sham, am I audible, Sham?
The heat is.
Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Fine, sir. Yeah, of course. I was able to have an answer. The heat is.
Oh, sorry, sir. The heat is trapped inside by the solar radiation because it is the watts per meter square. That is the intensity of solar is trapped inside the car.
Yes, sir. Okay. See, yes, sir. Yes, sir. True, sir. In fact, an glass layered room, it is called as greenhouse. A glass layered room, it is called as greenhouse. The feature or the characteristics of this glass is it will be able to allow short waves, rather whatever waves that we have it from sun, they will be high energy waves, or in other words, their wavelength will be in short. This is an example of a short wavelength, or this is a high energy wave. The high energy wave has the ability to go through the glass. This is case one. Once when this high energy wave goes through this glass, and once when it hits the interiors of the car, it will be able to lose its energy. As a result, it will become long wavelength. The same period of time, if this is called as T, the same period of time it will be like this one. It will become long wave. Long wave will not have the energy to overcome the glass layer. It will get trapped inside. It will be re-reflected back. As a result, it will be re-reflected back. As a result, the interiors of the car will become warmer. Hence, the interior of the car will be at a higher temperature as compared to ambient temperature. I repeat, the waves, whatever we have from the sun, 1 minute, please. Yeah. Sir, I'm in online class. Is there anything else now? I'll call you, sir, after this, please. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Now, the rays, whatever we have from sun, especially the beam waves, beam radiations, it will be of shorter wavelength. It has the energy, it will be able to go through this glass. It hits the interiors of the car, it will be losing its energy. Transformation happens. As a result, the short wave will become long wave. The long wave will never have the energy to overcome the glass, hence it will be re-reflected back. As a result, the interiors of the car will become warmer. Sir, how far this is attached with the global warming? Yes, of course, it is attached. The analogy is same. Whatever the effect the glass is having, same glass will be exhibited by carbon dioxide. Whatever thing that we people have seen as of now, that same effect will be replicated by carbon dioxide. This has the same tendency. It will be able to allow the short waves to pass through. It will not allow the long waves to pass over it. As a result, it will be re-reflected back. Hence, global warming happens. Okay, this is what I was informing you. Probably the atmosphere will be having. And the CO2, whatever we have from the hydrocarbons, whatever fuel that we have, all are hydrocarbons. So the carbon content upon oxidation, carbon plus oxygen, it will give abundant amount of heat energy, carbon dioxide. And it's an exothermal process, and approximately 8,800 kilocalories of heat energy would be available for every kg. So much amount of heat energy would be available. And this carbon dioxide will be settling on the atmosphere. It will be having the same effect as it of the glass layer. See, now initially carbon dioxide was available, but of course the level of the CO2 was lower. As a result, some amount of heat was entering in and some amount of heat was reflected back. However, once when you burn all these fuels which contains carbon, it will be having higher emissions, and that higher emissions will be having higher layer of CO2 like this one. The CO2 layer will become higher. As a result, a re-reflection happens. The temperature of the earth, it will become higher. It increases. Okay. Now, if we see the thermographic image of the globe, 100 years before it was like this, and now it is like this. Okay, now you would have understood. And this is a scientific proof how the temperature, how the mean temperature of Earth had become higher. Like earlier it was like this. Probably if you go for progression, it goes like this. Now, how this affects or what happens?
Sir, the slides are not changing, sir.
Slides are not changing.
We are still at the same slide.
Sham?
No, sir. It is okay, sir. Slides are changing.
How about others? Apart from that participant, how about others?
It's changing, sir.
Changing. Okay, sir. I think there is some problem with your thing, sir. Probably you can log out and then you can start again, sir, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. Now here, whatever we have, this is one normal statement. What they inform: India is among top 5. This is what every person, whomever you meet across international conferences, they tell like India is among the top 5 things and all which emits CO2. Like, of course, this is a true fact, but actually what we people have to understand is how much does every individual Indian emit? Per capita CO2 emissions is the one what we people have to tell. Per capita, how much does every individual in India emits? If at all we do that analysis, India is much lower as compared to other countries. So it is not on top 5. It is down the whole list. Like, okay. Now there will also be another statement. What they feel like if CO2 isn't there, then it would have been okay. No, it is not so. If CO2 isn't there, the Earth would have been a frozen ball of ice. If the CO2 isn't there, the Earth would have been a frozen ball of ice. No survival would have happened. The CO2 buildup had increased in temperature. As a result, survival had happened. As a result, we are able to live. Like, and the present level of CO2 in the atmosphere, what we people speak about is 365 parts per million. Okay. Any idea how much parts per million makes 1%? Any inputs? How much parts per million makes 1%? $10,000 ppm will be equal to 1%. The intention of informing you this one is we are speaking of CO2 level of the order of 0.0365% in the atmosphere. If this level becomes 0.04%, then the impact will be too huge. Just understand the quantity of CO2 what we speak about. As you people would be aware, for doing stoichiometric analysis, we assume that air will be having only O2 and N2 alone. O2 we take it as 21% by volume or 23 by weight. N2 we take it as 79 or 77. This is by volume, this is by weight. We neglect the other gases. The other gases are argon, CO2 and H2O. These 5 things would make our atmospheric air. But we neglect these three, informing that they are too low a value to be accounted. Stoichiometry will never get affected with these analysis like, but here the presence of CO2 to such a marginal level will cause havoc. Probably I'll be able to inform you what those havocs are. It will be much helpful. Like now, these are the 6 gases which has the same effect as that of glass that we have seen on a car. Share wise, if at all we see, carbon dioxide accounts for almost half. Among the greenhouse gases, carbon dioxide accounts for almost half. Fluorofluorocarbons, which are obtained from R22, refrigerants, R12, R22, all those things, it will be there. Now we will see these things and all. These are occurring naturally. They were in existence earlier, but these are the emissions what we people have made, which has created havoc. Like, and we will see how it has created havoc and what are the impacts of those things and all. Before we go all those things and all, you people have to understand a term called as global warming potential, GWP. GWP. As you people are aware, among the various greenhouse gases, the presence of carbon dioxide accounts for greater than 50%, almost half will be this one. So we take the global warming caused by 1 mole of CO2 as a base, and then we equate all these gases on this one. We equate all these gases on these things. For example, if you take methane, the global warming caused by 1 mole of methane will be equal to the global warming caused by 21 moles of CO2. So what we do is that we assign global warming potential GWP of methane as 21. Rather, what we do is that we equate all these gases with the global warming that is being obtained from CO2, and we compare it. If you do that analysis, it becomes easier. Sulfur hexafluoride, 1 mole of sulfur hexafluoride would be causing a global warming that would have been obtained by 24 tons of CO2. Clear? Just see these things are all under whatever I told you, CH4, methane. So we take the CO2 as the base, then accordingly we'll be equating all these gases with the CO2 as a base. Okay. Now these are the ill effects. Of course, all of us would be aware, like global warming. One classic example is the rain what we people in Chennai have experienced just 2 months back. Like the rain which should have been for a period of 1 month, if it comes on a day, then flooding will always happen. And people attribute it to El Nino effect, and that could also be attributed to global warming. These are the various aspects. Like, and probably if at all you want to see the actual fact in India, these are the real things what we people in India will encounter. Rajasthan will be encountering more amount of drought. Gujarat belt, the sea level rise will be there. Mumbai, saltwater intrusions will happen. Coral bleaching. Yeah, in fact, this is a major problem in Andamans now. Coral bleaching, Ganges, all these things and all are there. Probably with images, it becomes much more easier. Like Kulu Valley at Himachal Pradesh, the apple belt has moved 30 kilometers north. Rather, the temperature had become higher. So the area where the apple was available, it isn't able to grow now. As a result, this has moved upwards, like, or else rather the area which was apple area had become barren now. They are not able to cultivate anything over there now. And Ganges, this you would have seen, like the Gangotri glacier, it is melting at a rapid rate, and some of these might disappear with this existing rate by 2030. Probably with this image, it becomes easier for you people to understand what the length initially was and what the length initially now is. And now probably it would have been somewhere here. But here, the rapidity or the growth of CO2 level is increasing in an exponential way. Hence, Conference of Parties, COP, had become in existence. Kyoto Protocol, all those accords had become, and as a result, people are trying to lower their emissions. So the impact will be so, and I think you would be aware, if this glacier goes off, then the water supply for China will be affected, for India will be affected, for Nepal will be affected, Bangladesh also it will be affected, because the Ganges will flow through those areas and all. So all these areas will get affected. Like coastal Orissa, 5 out of 7 villages are submerged. That is also one important factor what you people have to know. Okay. Now, the norm wise, it has been established like for every 1 unit of electricity India makes, 1.2 kg equivalent of CO2 is being emitted. For every 1 unit of power, whatever India generates, it has been arrived like 1.2 kg equivalent of CO2 is emitted. Now, this value comes from this. Probably I'll go to some slides before. I'll tell you how this value had been arrived like. So now you people will be aware like out of the power, whatever we generate, out of the energy, whatever we generate, 70%, 75% was obtained from coal. So what do we do is that we mix, we arrive at all these things and all. Gas will be having some amount of hydrocarbon, diesel is having some amount of hydrocarbon, biomass will be having some amount of hydrocarbon, and coal is also having some amount of hydrocarbon. The energy mix would be available. From that one, the composition of these things would be available. If it is coal, carbon content would be available. Carbon plus oxygen, it will form CO2. I'll tell you one small example. 12 kgs of carbon requires 32 kgs of oxygen to form 44 kgs of CO2. So 1 kg of carbon will be able to emit 44 by 12 times of CO2. Likewise, we'll be able to estimate the amount of carbon content that is available inside the fuel. Accordingly, we'll be able to establish the amount of CO2 what we'll be able to emit. So CO2 from coal, CO2 from this sector, from this sector, from the other sector, all these sectors will be accounted. All these sectors will be accounted, and then accordingly we'll be able to arrive at the energy mix. Like 1 minute, sir. Sir, online class, sir, or 10 months, I'll call you, sir, please. Yes, thank you. Yeah, okay. So these are things what we people have seen, and the live examples were, it was also informed. Yeah, the next is ozone. So the first one, global warming, it was understood. Second one is ozone. As all of us would be aware, the atmosphere can be divided into 3 broad regions: troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere. The stratosphere is the one which will be lying between 10 kilometers to 15 kilometers. 10 kilometers above the earth, it will be available. From here till 50 kilometers, it will be there. So this is the layer what we people speak about. Like, and here you will be having an pungent smelling light bluish ozone gas. Ozone gas is already existing in the atmosphere. Ozone, as we people would be aware, it is O3. As we people would be aware, it will be O3. This has the ability to save us from harmful ultraviolet rays. The ultraviolet rays, whatever that comes from the sun, it will be filtered off and it will not be allowed onto the earth, like it gets filtered here. Now, what happens to the ozone? Ozone was existing, and ozone, it will be occurring in equilibrium. The equilibrium is like this. It forms and then it dissociates. It again forms as such. Now see here, ozone was existing. The ultraviolet ray from the sun was able to have an impact over here. It was able to dissociate into oxygen and monoatomic oxygen, O2 and O, at a lower wavelength. Now here I was able to split down the ozone into O2 and O. And again, this O2 plus O at an wavelength of 240, they'll be able to merge together. It will form O3. So there exists an equilibrium wherein the O3 gets dissociated into O2 plus O, and this O2 plus O will again recombine, they form O3. So this equilibrium was existing. As a result, the ozone layer that was available above our atmosphere was intact. We were safe. Now, the ozone depletion substances, which we address as ODS. they'll be having a very high impact, especially the chlorine, fluorine, bromine. These halogens will be having a high impact. Like, the issue is that they don't get dissolved with water. During rain, if they get dissolved, it becomes easier, but unfortunately they don't get that. Rather, they remain suspended in the stratosphere. As a result, what happens is that one chlorine atom will be able to dissociate approximately 10,000 to 1 lakh ozone molecules. Probably I'll be able to tell you how it is so. This CFCl4, CFCl3 over here, with the help of ultraviolet rays, it gets itself dissociated into CFCl2 plus chlorine. This chlorine will interact with ozone. As a result, it will disintegrate the ozone into chlorine oxide plus oxygen. That is here. As a result, you have chlorine oxygen over here and you have oxygen over here. This, what happens is that this attracts another oxygen. Already one ozone molecule has been depleted off. As a result, this ozone molecule has been taken down into O2. Now this, again, this ozone would be in equilibrium because it will be able to combine with another O. As a result, the ozone, it would have formed. But unfortunately, this ClO will interact with this oxygen also. As a result, it will again recombine itself and it will form Cl plus O2. As a result, the equilibrium, it will get affected. The same thing, what I had explained to you, all those things are available over here. The equilibrium, it will get affected. As a result, the layer, whatever you have, the ozone layer thickness, it will become lower. That we address it as ozone hole. The thickness of the ozone layer, it is informed by Dobson meter. Dobson is a unit what we address like. If the thickness is lower, the ultraviolet rays available at those areas, it will become higher like. So, and thinning of the ozone layer will indicate higher ultraviolet rays onto those areas, and this has higher impact on our health. It will be having different impacts on various aspects like that. And these are the other impacts of ozone layer. Okay, now the second last one. What are the options that are available with us to lower the environmental impacts and also to lower the energy gap what India faces? I repeat. Here, as of now, we have seen about the energy issues that is associated with India, energy demand of India, and how much amount of fuel that we people import. How much amount of fuel that we people import, and apart from that one, what are the issues that is being associated with the current energy mix pattern? Okay, now probably if you people can inform the options, it becomes easier. Any inputs? What are the ways through which we can have these two things averted? One is that how the energy gap can be lowered and how the climate change can be averted. Like. Yes, sir. Any options, sir, please?
Sir, can we use the renewable energy so that the energy gap, whatever it is, can be reduced with respect to the non-renewable sources?
Excellent, sir. Excellent, sir. Excellent, sir. Excellent, sir. So the first option is go for renewable energy. As a result, the energy gap, it can be averted. It can be averted, and it will also be environmentally benign. So it is advantage number one or option number one. Second option.
So there are two ways. One is like from the supply side by using renewable energy sources, and other one is from the demand side. If we start doing the demand side management.
Yeah, of course, demand side management. Of course, it is true, sir. Probably we can go in for the class. What we people are attending now, we have to save energy. Energy saving.
Yes.
Energy saving is third one. It is option number two. Third one, we have to go for alternate technologies through which we'll be able to have additional sources of energy. These are the three things. These are the three things through which we'll be able to lower our energy gap, and also we'll be able to make our environment a safe place to live. We have to embrace renewable energy. This is option number one. Or you can lower your energy consumption pattern. You can go in for energy saving, or you try to innovate new technologies whereby you can improve the energy scenario, and also you can make the environmental a better place to live. Like, onto this, we are having our energy audit. Onto this, we are having our energy audit. The last part. Okay. Encon and energy efficiency, whether these two things are same. Whether these two things are same, one basic thing what we people have to understand is that energy efficiency is a part of Encon. One classic example I can tell you. Replacing an incandescent lamp with a fluorescent tube light or a compact fluorescent lamp, this is nothing but your energy efficiency. Replacing an incandescent lamp with a compact fluorescent lamp, you are able to improve, because with lower amount of input power, I am able to have higher amount of light. So that is nothing but your energy efficiency. Switching off a lamp where it is not required, that is Encon. Conservation of energy. Energy efficiency also will be part of this Encon aspect. Energy conservation aspect. Now, this is one basic thing what people have to understand. Almost 75% of the people wouldn't be aware about this one. I'll tell you one classic example. It becomes much helpful also. Here, what I wanted to ask you is how the energy conversion happens from fuel source to light. We will go step by step process. Then it becomes easier, because the previous speaker or the earlier one, I have seen that he was addressing like 1 unit of power, whatever we say will become equal to 2 unit of power, whatever you generate. Probably after this example or after this exercise, you will be able to understand it is not so. We will see how it is not so. Okay. First one, what we do is that we have a boiler. Typical Rankine cycle power plant. Feed water comes in. Feed water absorbs the heat. As a result, it will become steam. The steam comes. It goes and expands onto a steam turbine. The output power will come. You have an alternator. Mechanical energy gets converted into electrical energy. Accordingly, we'll be able to export it. The low pressure steam, what that comes over here, will be taken back. Condenser would be available. Seawater would be taken in. It will be able to absorb. We'll be able to convert this one into water. The low pressure, low temperature steam would be converted into water. Accordingly, the whole phenomena happens. I think yesterday, second session, Dr. Sethumadhavan was able to address you onto this aspect. He was telling you the energy losses, what happens in all these things and all. Okay, now we will see this one. This is case one. This is case one. Now here the power is available at this end. I have a house which is located far off. I have a house which is located far off. Onto which the intention is to glow an incandescent lamp. Onto which we have to glow an incandescent lamp. The mechanism, what we do is that we have a step up transformer here. The power would be available here. Secondary coil will be able to have it across. Secondary coil will be more. This is step up transformer. The power gets boosted up. Voltage becomes higher. Current becomes lower. As I was informing you, the intention is to make I square R loss to be lower. This comes through the grid. Then accordingly, at the user point, I'll be having a step down transformer. This is step down transformer. And from here, I'll be able to take the power to the lamp. From here, I'll be able to take the power to the lamp. Now, we will see how the energy gets converted from here to here. so that it becomes an eye opener for you all. The input, whatever we give is 100 kg of coal. The input, whatever we give is 100 kg of coal. So 100 kg of coal, I gave it here. As we people are aware, the typical efficiency of a Rankine cycle power plant will be approximately 35%. Typical efficiency of a Rankine cycle power plant will be approximately 35%. In other words, out of 100 kg of coal, whatever I had fed in, only 35 kg equivalent power will be available here. I repeat, out of 100 kg of coal, what that was available over here, only 35 kg is available as equivalent power. The remaining 65 I've lost elsewhere. The remaining 65 I've lost elsewhere. Now again, this will be available over here. I have to step it up. Transformer efficiency, anyone who can inform the efficiency? Any idea? What is the typical efficiency?
85%, sir. 85 to 90.
90.
My God.
Transformer efficiency.
Sir, please, sir.
Transformer efficiency 95%.
Yes, sir. Okay. See, the efficiency of a transformer would be 99 plus, sir. In fact, we go for amorphous score, whereby our insistence on efficiency has to be 99.5 plus.
Okay,
because
sir. Okay.
Transformers, no mechanical components are involved, only induction happens. So the efficiency of these transformers has to be high. Right now, amorphous core are being used, like, as a result, the efficiency becomes 99.5 and above. So from 35, if I have a conversion efficiency, I take 99%. So 35 into 0.99. So 34. Here I have 34.65 kg of coal equivalent. As we people have seen, like T&D losses is 20%. As we people have seen already, T&D losses, whatever we encounter is 20%. So here it becomes 34.65. This multiplied with 0.8. Only 0.8 will be available over here. So what I get is only 27.72 kg of coal at the downstream side. Out of 100 kg of coal, what that was available over here, at the end user point, I'm having only 27.72 kgs of coal. Now, if we take an incandescent lamp, the incandescent lamp coil will be like this, and this will be covered by an bulb, by a glass layer like this. As you people would be aware, the incandescent bulb would be able to convert only 10% of its input electricity into light. The remaining 90% would be available as heat. The incandescent lamps, they convert only 10% of their electricity into light. The remaining 90% would be discharged as only heat. So out of this 27.72, only 10% equivalent will be available as light. So approximately 2.7 kgs of coal equivalent I'll be having at the downstream side as compared to 100 kg of coal, whatever that we are having it at the source line. So just have it in mind, like it is not 1 kg equivalent to 1 or 1 kg equivalent to 2. It is much higher than that. It is much higher than that. So whatever power that we save at this downstream end will help us to save a lot of coal. Apart from that one, it will also help us to save on the CO2 aspects also. So have these things onto your mind, it becomes much helpful. Okay, this is one aspect. So this is an analysis through which we'll be able to quantify. Whatever we quantify, it becomes easier for us to monitor. If you don't quantify, monitoring becomes difficult. Ultimately, we lose, like. So energy audit is also an exercise whereby we'll be able to quantify the amount of energy that we take. This is one step. Second, if you take the utility, we'll be able to balance out of how much amount of energy input I gave, what are the various applications of it. Third, the most important one, we'll be able to check the current performance of the plant. If, for example, since the first session was on HVAC, normally we tell kilowatt per ton. what is the power consumption that the system has taken for every tonnage of refrigeration, kW per TR. Once when you are able to establish this one for your house, you can check whether it is on par with the latest ones. Like if there are some problems in the condenser coil or in the evaporator coil or in the filter and all, we'll be losing higher amount of energy. Ultimately, the COP or the efficiency of the air conditioning plant would be lower. So this kW per TR, it will become higher. Like so, energy audit is an assessing mechanism through which we'll be able to ascertain how we perform. This is case 3. The last one, the most important one, the one which delivers substandard output. Assume that I have 10 fans in my house. Like there will be some fans which will be giving lower amount of wind as compared to the amount of power what it takes. Like fan is a small example I gave you. We can take air conditioners. We can suppose if it is an industry, we'll take electric motors, pumps also. Likewise, you can take all those things and all. We'll be able to grade, and then accordingly we'll be able to identify the culprit. Accordingly, it becomes easier for us to replace them or repair them. Okay. Next comes a basic question. Basic question: why we have to do an energy audit? What is the need for us to do an energy audit? There are different things what people tell. The last two, what that is being mentioned here, this is naam ke vaste. Just for the namesake, it will be done. Like whereby what people tell is that if at all we save energy, we'll be able to have higher longevity of the existing fuels. That is case 1. Second, environmentally benign environment advantages. Honestly speaking, no industry will be thinking about the last two. This is what that happens even now. There is what that happens even now. All industries would be focusing on only one aspect, money. And the return on the investment. Within what interval of time I'll be able to have the investment, whatever I have invested upon. So first and foremost aspect for doing energy audit is not to save on energy or not to check on environment advantages, but for the industry to save on the money. How much amount of money that I'll be able to save? This is case 1. The more the amount of money, more would be the profit. I'll tell it with an example. It becomes much easier to comprehend also. It becomes much easier to comprehend also. We will take one small pen. We will take one pen. Okay. Any idea what is the difference between cost and price? Any idea what is the difference between cost and price?
Cost means it is the manufacturing cost, and price means considering profit.
Superb, sir. Superb, sir. So the expenditure, whatever I have incurred in making one pen, it is called as cost. Cost plus profit, this becomes our price. As you people would have seen, in each and every commodity we buy, as per Indian government norms, we'll be having MRP, maximum retail price. They tell what is the price that has to be fixed upon. Okay. Now, for making any commodity or any item, there are some costs what that is involved. To name them, we will take the first one as raw material cost. Second, there will be some water what that is associated with it, so we have to go for water cost. Third one, we have to depute manpower, so manpower cost will be there. Fourth one, interest on the investment. Interest on the investment, so that interest cost would be there. Like then rental expenses, all those expenses will be there. All those are cost. Like depreciations would be there. That also has to be accounted. Like, and also there is one more cost what we people work around, that is nothing but our energy cost. Yeah. Apart from this, there will be some others which we can have it as etc. etc. Okay. Now among these, now assume that there are two manufacturers, manufacturer X and manufacturer Y. Both of them make the same product, which is nothing but our pen. The cost what that is associated with making a pen is identical for both the people. For X and for Y, it will be same. For X and Y, the cost that is associated will be same. Like here, there is one advantage. Probably if the cost for making a pen is assumed that it is rupees 6 per pen. I'm able to sell it at rupees 9 per pen. My profit is rupees 4 per pen. This is the manufacturing cost. This is the price what that has been fixed through. Clear? This manufacturing cost includes all these factors, like, and these factors will be common for any industry as such. Like. Here, the only cost what that an industrial entrepreneur can control is the energy cost. Rest all things, it will be common for both X and Y. The only one which gives him an edge over the competitor is with what energy efficiency he is able to make a product. If he is able to make a product at a much lower energy, then this cost would have become rupees 5 per pen for him. So his profit margin would be rupees 1 per pen, approximately 10%. Approximately 10%. If he wants to sell at bulk, since the cost of the pen is rupees 6, since the cost of the pen is rupees 6, Y cannot quote a price which is lower than 6. But X has a liberty where he can quote rupees 5.5 also per pen. So that's the advantage. That's one major input what we people can have it done. Like, so energy cost will give any industrial entrepreneur to survive in the present competitive market. I think you people would be aware, like post-COVID, it has become even more stringent. Like the raw material cost had become higher by 30% at least. And day before yesterday, I was able to witness one case whereby the subcontractor is asking the person to reduce his manpower cost by 10%. So this is the competitive things and all where if you are able to cut down the cost, it becomes easier for you to have the order. Otherwise, it will go off. Like, so energy audit will give us an option whereby we will be able to survive well in the present competitive market. Okay. One important aspect what people wouldn't be aware, saving 1 unit of electricity, you will be able to save half a lakh every year. Saving just 1 unit of electricity, you will be able to save half a lakh of rupees every year. This is an example of how it is being done. 1 unit of electricity, we will take the average cost as rupees 5.75 per unit and 8,760 hours. This 8,760, I think you people will be aware. 24 multiplied with 365. So once when you save just 1 unit of electricity, we'll be able to save half a lakh. We'll be able to save half a lakh. So that's the cost component that is associated with the savings. Like the monetary savings, honestly speaking, it should start from our house. You can have this as an impact. You can start from your house. Like you can start doing various options through which you can save energy. After the end of the class, probably at the last session, I'll be having some time whereby I'll be able to tell you some simple tips whereby you can save the energy at your house. Like as a result, you will be able to save approximately half a lakh every year, or you can purchase 2 sovereigns of gold so that your house people would be happy. One important factor, what we normally overlook, energy cost accounts for greater than 95% of the product's life cycle cost. Energy cost accounts for greater than 95% of a product's life cycle cost. Let me tell it with a simple example. Purchasing a bike is easier. Fueling the bike with petrol during its entire lifespan becomes difficult. Purchasing an elephant, owning an elephant is always easier, but feeding the elephant becomes a major problem. The same thing also happens over here. Assume that we have a case study. Assume that we have a fluorescent tube light, FTL. The cost of a 40-watt tube light will be approximately rupees 60. This is the capital investment what I make for the lamp light. The power consumed by the lamp, it is 40 watt and 15 watt for the choke. Conventional, if it is electronic ballast, it will be taking only 3 watts. Conventional tube lights, what we people have, it will be so much like. And now off late people have gone in for LED tube lights. You will be able to get an LED tube light at rupees 200 per piece. 1 minute. The power what the tube light has taken was 40 watt for the tube light to glow and 15 watts for the choke light. So total amount of power what it was drawn was 55 watts. Like. Let us take the lifespan of a tube light as 2 years. See, the lifespan what people tell us that you have to switch on the lamp and you should not switch off. Typically, the lifespan of any luminaire, what people inform us, you have to switch on and you have to make it to live its life. The more frequent your switching on and off happens, the lower would be its life. So this is the life what they quote like approximately 2 years. So for 2 years of this FTL to glow, the amount of power what it would take is, I'm converting this 55 watts into kilowatts. It glows approximately 12 hours in a day. Parking bay, assume that it is available in the parking lot, like 365 days per year. 2 years is the lifespan. Rupees 5.75 is the per unit cost of electricity. This has to be kilowatt hour. So once when you do all these things, it becomes 2,770 is the energy cost what I have spent on the tube light. Including the capital cost of rupees 60, the overall total life cycle cost what I have spent on the tube light is rupees 2,830. If I divide 2,770 with the overall life cycle cost, the energy cost comes to approximately 98%. Hence, I was informing you, purchasing an elephant is a much easier task as compared to feeding an elephant. Purchasing a bike is easier as compared to feeding the fuel to the bike. So just have this in mind and then accordingly or appropriately choose the gadget. This is one more example. This is one more excellent example. People always see what that is visible to them. People neglect what that is invisible to them. Though the purchase cost wise and substandard item would be lower in cost, but during operation it will be taking so much amount of energy. Vice versa, the purchase cost would be much higher. The operation cost would be too low. This is applicable for star-rated equipments. The more higher the star, if it is 5-star, the purchase cost would be more. The operating cost would be lower. If the purchase cost is only 1 star or no star, the purchase cost would be lower, but the operating cost would be higher. Like just have an understanding like energy cost accounts for almost 95% of the total life cycle cost. There is also one more important thing what you people have to understand. Kindly do not go blindly for 5-star again. You have to choose as energy engineers, you have to choose wisely on the operating hours based on the hours of operation that you people have. I'll tell you one small example. Replacing an incandescent lamp with an LED, definitely it will save energy. There is no doubt on that. Replacing an incandescent lamp with an LED will definitely save huge amount of energy. No doubt on that. But the location where I change will be an important factor. If I replace an incandescent lamp in the parking lot, which glows for approximately 12 hours in a day, it is wiser. Because the operating hours is more, I'll be able to save automatically the amount whatever I've invested. Because LED lamps will be costlier as compared to the incandescent lamps. Like so, it is a good decision. Like, but I replace an incandescent lamp in the washroom. The occupancy of the room would be hardly 10 minutes for the whole day. Replacing it with LED, though it saves energy, but the investment return will be much higher for me. The lifespan of the bulb would be lost. So financial evaluation has to be done, and then appropriately you should take a call on which one you have to invest so that it becomes easier. Okay, now this is one typical power plant. This is one typical power plant. This is it will be a definite eye opener for you people. The case study what we have taken is a 210 megawatt thermal power plant. This is what we call it as heat rate. As engineers, we will be aware about heat rate. That is nothing but how much amount of heat we supply for generating 1 unit of electricity. In simple terms, this is inverse of your efficiency. Because efficiency will be what is the amount of electricity I've got as compared to the amount of fuel that I gave in and the amount of energy, heat energy I gave in. Efficiency is the output as compared to input. But heat rate is what is the quantity of heat what that has to be supplied so that we'll be able to generate 1 unit of electricity. We have also another term, what we call it as steam rate. Steam rate is what is the kgs of steam that is required for generating 1 unit of electricity. These are the two different terms what we normally employ in coal-based thermal power plants, heat rate and steam rate. Okay. The second factor is plant load factor, which is nothing but 85%, or else in other words, out of 8,760 hours, the plant will be in operation for 85% of the time, and remaining 15% of the time it is down for attending for various other maintenance works. Okay. The coal that we have used in this plant, it is typical E grade coal. If you import, the calorific value of this coal will be much higher. It will be almost double because the ash content would be 10%. Whereas Indian coal, as I was informing you, 40% would be the amount of ash content. So approximately 4,000 kilocalories of heat energy would be available. Ultimate analysis reveals the carbon content in Indian coal as 41.7%. This is the cost what there is available. Coal India Limited supplies these coal to the thermal power plants, as you people would have seen in the earlier slide. This is the cost, rupees 2 per kg or rupees 2,000 per ton. Now we will see how much amount of carbon dioxide emission happens for every ton of coal burnt. 41.7, as I told you earlier, carbon plus oxygen, it will form CO2. 12 kgs of carbon requires 32 kgs of oxygen to form 44 kgs of CO2. Therefore, 1 kg of carbon gives how much amount of CO2? It is 44 by 12. So 44 by 12 times of 41.7. 44 by 12 times of 41.07. This gives 1.5 tons of CO2. So what it basically informs is that 1.5 tons of CO2 would be emitted if I burn 1 kg of coal. If I burn 1 kg of coal, which is having a carbon content of 41.6% or 41.7%. Okay. Now, the heat content of the coal is 3,997. The heat rate, what that is required is 2,450, according all efficiency factors and all. So the quantity of coal what I should supply is 2,450 is the amount of heat what I have to have, as against 3,997 that is available with the coal. So 0.6 kgs of coal is required for generating 1 unit of electricity. I repeat, it becomes easier. 0.613 kgs of coal has to be supplied for generating 1 unit of electricity. If you multiply with 1,000, automatically you'll be able to have it as tons per MWH. So for a 210 megawatt power plant, how much amount of coal it takes and how much amount of power that you'll be able to make. So 210 megawatt would be available here. This, as you people have seen, it will become 8,760 hours per year. This 0.85 is the availability factor. So 0.85. So we'll be able to generate 15.63 lakh megawatt hour. A 210 megawatt coal-based thermal power plant having a PLF of 85% would be able to export so much amount of power to the national grid per annum. Okay. So this number you have it in mind. You have all these numbers, it becomes much helpful. Heat rate is one important value what you people have to have, like 2,450 kilowatt hour per unit of electricity. Okay. Now the amount of coal. Now this is the amount of power what I have got, like, and this is the coal what that is required for every megawatt hour, tons. So much, if you have these two factors, then so much tons of coal has to be supplied. See, approximately 10 lakh tons of coal is required for operating a 210 megawatt power plant. For operating a 210 megawatt power plant, the amount of coal that has to be supplied is approximately 10 lakh tons. Just imagine the value what we speak about is 4 lakh megawatt. This is the installed capacity, overall installed capacity. Probably on the slides, what you people would have seen, as on Jan 2022, 4 lakh Megawatt is a total cumulative installed capacity. Just imagine the amount of coal what we should have it across time. But here again, we depend on coal for only 75%, all those things and all. But still, just have this in mind, like so much tons of coal is required for operating 210 megawatt power plant. Cost wise, if at all you equate 19,170 lakhs has to be spent on the coal cost. CO2 emissions, so much tons of CO2 will be able to emit for a 210 megawatt power plant, which is giving so much amount of power. Okay, now comes the energy audit aspect of it. By doing different measures, there are different measures. Probably if there is some time, I will try to handle you the Rankine cycle analysis. It will become an excellent topic. I'll be able to tell you what basically is reheat, what is regeneration, why we go for reheat plus regeneration, then why we go for supercritical power plants, then why the condenser pressure is maintained at vacuum. All these things, if at all I have time or in the last session, I'll be able to handle. Okay. So,
hello.
Yeah, please.
Sorry to disturb you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you please explain how that CO2 emission calculation is done in earlier slide?
Okay, now let me go into the calculations. It becomes easier. See, we have coal with us. There are two analyses of coal, what we people do. One is called as ultimate analysis. Other one is called as proximate analysis. In ultimate analysis, the ultimate analysis will be able to reveal as cons: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur. The ultimate analysis is also called as elemental analysis. It will be able to inform us the percentage of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur that is available inside the fuel. Whereas on the other hand, the proximate analysis will be able to reveal moisture content available inside the coal, volatile matter available inside the coal, ash content. 100 minus all these 1 plus 2 plus 3 will be able to give us fixed carbon. Fixed carbon is equal to 100 minus moisture content plus volatile matter plus ash. Okay. These are the two analyses, whatever we do for any fuel. Whatever fuel that you have, in order to ascertain the quality of the fuel, in order to check how it will be able to burn and various other aspects, these two are the prominent analysis what we people do. One is called as elemental analysis, or also called as ultimate analysis. Second one is called as proximate analysis. Now this elemental analysis is basically done to estimate three things. The first thing is to establish what is the stoichiometric amount of air what the type to supply. Second is flue gas desulfurization that has to be done. Second is flue gas desulfurization that has to be done. Third, you can estimate the calorific value. There are again different methods. Bomb calorimeter will be done. Using the bomb calorimeter, people will be able to establish the calorific value of coal. Apart from this, Dulong's formula would be available. By having these values substituted into the formula, you'll be able to estimate the calorific value of the coal. Okay, now coming back to this one. Once when you do the elemental analysis, we'll be able to gauge the amount of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and yes, that is available inside the coal. The analysis what that we have done, the ultimate analysis reveals the carbon content in the Indian coal was 41.7%. So this value by doing elemental analysis has been arrived as 41.7%. Let me be precise, it becomes easier. If I take 100 kg of coal, that 100 kg of coal will be having 47.7% of carbon. Approximately, it might have 20 kgs of hydrogen, 20 kgs of oxygen, so it will become 80, 10 kgs of nitrogen. Sulfur, I'll take it as 8.3. So if I add all these things, I'll be able to have as 100 kg of coal. Now, we wanted to know the amount of oxygen, stoichiometric air. We do some analysis accordingly. We'll be able to have that one done. But we are interested to know how much amount of CO2 that this coal would be able to give. As you would have been aware, carbon plus oxygen, it will form CO2. 12 kgs of carbon, molecular weight of carbon, molecular weight of oxygen is 32. It will be able to give me 44. So 12 kg of carbon gives 44 kgs of CO2. 12 kgs of carbon gives 44 kgs of CO2. Now I have to arrive at specific coal consumption for my plant. Specific coal consumption for my plant, for which I should know two data. One is what is the heat rate. Second, what is the heat content that is available inside the coal. This is CV content available with the coal. This is the heat rate what that is operated for the Rankine cycle power plant. These two informations were already available. 2450 kilocalories per unit of electricity is the heat rate what that has to be supplied. The calorific value what that was available with the coal was approximately 4000. So if I burn 1 kg of coal, 1 kg of coal would be able to give me 4000 kilocalories of heat. But I need only 2450 kilocalories of heat for generating 1 unit of electricity. So what is the quantity of coal what that is required for generating 1 unit of electricity? If that analysis has been done, it will become 2450 divided by 4000. This gives specific coal what that has to be supplied. So it means that I have to supply 0.6 kgs of coal for generating 1 unit of electricity. Now here, see, 12 kg of carbon, as we people have seen, it will be emitting 44 kgs of CO2. Now, as that was being done, heat rate we have seen it as 2450. Calorific value of coal has been taken as 4000. If you do these analysis, the quantity of coal what that is required for generating 1 unit of electricity becomes 0.6 kgs of coal for generating 1 unit of electricity. That is what we people have seen here. Clear? So this analysis informs like 0.6 kgs of coal has to be supplied for having 1 unit of electricity. See, here we have seen 12 kg of carbon gives me 44 kgs of CO2. I have 0.6 kg of coal. 0.6 kg of coal. So here it will be 0.6 multiplied with this coal contains 41.4. This into 0.41. This will be the amount of carbon what we have in the coal. I think you are able to follow, sir. Else, I'll remove this one. It becomes even easier. I will explain in one more step. It becomes even more easier.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this 0.6 is the amount of coal. Now, how much amount of carbon that is available in this coal? 0.6. The carbon content has been estimated as 41.7%. This is by 100. So if we equate that, .6 multiplied with 0.6 multiplied with 0.417. So 0.25 kgs of carbon is available in 0.6 kgs of coal what that was used. So 0.25 kg. So 12 kgs of carbon, as we have seen, it was able to give so much amount of CO2. 0.25. 0.25 gives 0.25 times 44 by 12. 0.25, this multiplied with 44, this divided by 12. Approximately, for generating 1 unit of electricity, you have to have 0.9 kgs of CO2. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the amount of CO2 has been done. Now here, we were understanding like by doing these energy efficiency options and all, we were able to save 50 kilocalories per kilowatt hour. This is too low a value. This is too that out of 2450, as we people have seen, the heat rate what we have seen was 2450. Out of that one, we are having only 50. So if you do the analysis, 50 by 2450, just 2%. If I am able to improve the efficiency of the thermal power plant by just 2%, we will see what will be the impact of it. The heat rate earlier it was 2,450. Now it would have become 2,400. The coal consumption earlier it was 0.613, but now it will be 0.6 as such. Accordingly, the amount of coal what you save will be so much, and the monetary wise, so much amount of money will be able to save, like 392 lakh rupees will be able to save. CO2 emission wise will be able to save so much amount of tons. These two values are applicable for a typical 210 megawatt power plant. These two values are applicable for a typical 210 megawatt power plant, just improving the efficiency by 2%. So much would be the humongous savings that we people will be able to achieve. Okay. Apart from the general aspects, there are also other associated aspects of saving energy. The first one, what we people were doing as of now is that we'll be able to save 1 kilowatt hour. That is one. Apart from that one, as you people would be aware, the tariff structure wise, people bill based on the time at which we have the power. In our state, it is morning 6 to 9 and evening 6 to 9. This is called as peak hour. In Kerala, it will be different values. 6 to 9 a.m., 6 to 9 p.m. If at all you take power in these two interval of time, you have to pay approximately rupees 0.6 per unit of electricity as extra, because you are taking the peak hour tariff like. So this is an additional tariff what the people lay. This is one aspect. So by saving kilowatt hour, we'll be able to save on this aspect also. That is also a second advantage. First advantage is this. Second advantage is this. Apart from this, EV billing, if you understand, for all industrial sectors, we have to pay for kWh. We also have to pay for kVA. This kVA is called as contract demand. This kVA, it is called as contract demand. Let me tell it with an example. The fixed landline phone in our house, like monthly rental for the landline has to be paid, or even the house in which we people live, if it is a rental house, either we occupy or not, the monthly rental has to be paid. Likewise, the contract demand would be levied to the industries. So the contract demand, if I am able to save on the kWh, the contract demand would become lower. I can surrender the excess demand. As a result, I'll be able to save on the kVA demand also. By doing energy audits, our power factor will become higher. Power factor, if it is maintained more than 0.95, incentives are available. If it is less than 0.9, penalty has to be paid. If it is maintained between 0.9 to 0.95, no profit, no loss. If it is less than 0.9, penalty will be levied to us. Like if it is more than 0.95, incentive will be awarded to us. Like power quality would be better. If we schedule the things on all, voltage level across the whole industry would be higher. If the voltage level is higher, I or the current or the amps would be lower. If amps is lower, I square R would be lower. Coil life would be higher. Longevity of the equipment will be higher. Like increased availability. Of course, if these things are better, availability of the whole things will be there. At last, we'll be able to live in an environmentally advantageous one. Okay. The advantage of doing energy audits. First, we have seen what basically is energy audit. The second, we have seen why we are doing an energy audit. Third one, what is the outcome? I'll be able to fix my benchmark where I stand. I'll be able to assess my IQ level. Likewise, we'll be able to check if my industry is a cement industry, kilowatt hour I consume for making 1 ton of cement. If the example what I told was pen, what is the unit of electricity that I have it for 1 pen? If it is different industry, likewise, I'll be able to have specific energy consumption. For making one product, how much quantity of energy that my industry takes in. This becomes a benchmark for me, whereby I'll be able to compare with the industrial standards. If the kilowatt hour per ton of cement making for me is lower than the average of the industries, then it means that I'm operating in an effective manner, efficient manner. Unfortunately, if it is more than what there is available on the standards, then it informs that my process is faulty or my operators are at they are operating in a careless manner. So this becomes a yardstick through which I'll be able to check where I stand. Like, and if this value is very poor, it gives me a basis through which I'll be able to plan for altering the process altogether. Okay. And apart from that one, it is an effective tool for me to monitor the whole plant. Once when the industrial people, once when the worker is aware that the boss is checking the quantity of energy what I take for every shift, for every product, he'll become careful. If it is watched, then automatically everything will be done well. Monitoring has to be done. If the examination is conducted without monitoring, copying will be there. The output would not be an reflective of what that was from the student. Like monitoring has to be done. As a result, we'll be able to have an effective outcome. Accordingly, it will be a tool through which we'll be able to have it done. Like this identifies inefficient and also misuse of energy. Misuse of energy, I'll be able to tell you one example what I've observed in the cotton mills and all. After the operation, the cotton waste would be there on the hair or on the cloth and all. You will not believe compressed air was used for cleaning the body. So these things do happen. Like so, once when you go for checking and once when you do energy audits and all, you will be able to arrest all these things as such. These are the three broad ways through which we will be able to do energy audits. The first one is called as preliminary energy audit. Second one is called as detailed energy audit. The third one is called as specific energy audit. We will go one by one. It becomes easier. The preliminary energy audit, this is also called as walk-through audit. WALK. This is called as walk-through audit, or this is also called as an observation audit under my. Having skills or having industrial experiences, if you are a skilled energy auditor, just by walking through the plant, you will be able to observe the various inefficient operations. Yesterday class, you would have seen how the pumps are operated in an ineffective manner. The damper controlling is an example. Air compressor bandwidth operation will be an example. Air conditioners, hot well and cold well insulation, all those things are an example. The compressor type, what they adopt also will be an example. Evaporator, condenser, how they are operated, all those will be revealing how the whole plant is operated. Like clear. So you walk through the plant, you observe the plant, how it is being done through. You will be able to understand where are the wrong things, what that are happening. This preliminary energy audit is done for two purposes mainly. First one, to fix my quote. What is the cost that I have to do for the study? First one. This quote would be dependent on what manpower I should have it across, what instrument I should bring. What instrument I should bring, like. See, instrument wise, I think we have one more additional talk on that day. The sophisticated instruments have to be there, right? Because we are not there to obstruct the plant operation. Energy auditor should have all non-intrusive instruments because the plant has to operate on its own. Like you have to just have and observe the things and all. We should not affect the output of the plant. We have to do energy audit in a way whereby without affecting the output of the plant, you have to gauge the energy analysis and then accordingly you would identify where the industry loses energy. So sophisticated, high-end, non-intrusive equipments have to be there. And of late, some energy auditors are there who are able to hire the energy audit instruments also. And I think there will be some industrial entrepreneurs available on this class. Like normally, we at Anna University or reputed energy audits, we always advise them, if at all you go for energy audits, seek for calibration certificate of equipments. The instruments, whatever the people own, energy auditors and all, it will be quite old. And the value, whatever it tells, it will be having some inherent errors. Just 1 degree centigrade difference will be able to affect the COP of an air conditioning plant by a huge value. Just 1 degree centigrade temperature change will be able to affect the kW per TR. You might even end up in branding that one as an inefficient one, though it might operate well. Because of the inaccuracy of the instrument, you might even identify that this equipment is not operating to the standard, so you can go in for replacement. Wrong diagnosis would happen. So what we normally advise is that once when you go for an energy audit, do insist on calibration certificate of the equipment what the consultant has. Okay. As was informed to you earlier, preliminary energy audit is a walkthrough audit where we go through the plant. We'll be able to arrive at the code that has to be given for doing the energy audits. This code would be arrived by arriving at the expertise of the manpower whom we have to have in the team, and also what are the instruments what that has to be there. This is first one. Second is the number of days what it will take for us to have the whole study done. This will also reveal the attitude of the industry. There are some industries who will do the energy audit just for the sake of compliance. If the kVA demand is 500 kVA or more, mandatory energy audit has to be done. Likewise, there will be some norms like. So based on the norm, some industry would be doing just for the sake of complying. So their attitude towards energy audit would be different. There will be some industries who will be calling us repeatedly. TVS, for example, we do repeat audits for them. Like if we do it for this year, 2 years afterwards, they'll be again asking us to come and inspect their plant, whereby we do an analysis of their plant. Accordingly, we'll be able to identify where they'll be able to save on the energy aspects. Like so, the preliminary energy audit will give us these informations. Apart from this, we'll also be able to tell what will be the percentage of savings that they can have it on the energy, how much monetary savings that they will be able to achieve, and our code will be based on those things. This is first one. Having preliminary audit done, having understood the scope for doing the study, then based on the scope, the industry may ask you to do detailed energy audit. This is a comprehensive study. This requires the people plus the instrument. You have to analyze the equipments that is available in the industry. A comprehensive analysis has to be done. Accordingly, you have to identify in an industry, you will be having air conditioners, we'll be having motors, we'll be having pumps, we'll be having blowers or fans, we'll be having air compressors, we'll be having boilers. All things will be there. You have to analyze the performance of all these components in the whole plant. You have to identify the one which is having higher amount of energy for the output. Then you have to tell what things that has to be done so that it will become efficient. As a result, the specific energy consumption per product becomes lower. Okay, this is called as detailed energy audit, and comprehensive study would be done. Having done this, there will be some industries which will ask you to focus on one specific utility. They'll be asking you to do one specific utility. Example, Vigaland. At Kerala, we have done an audit for them. They were very first we have done this audit, they were happy. Then we have done this audit, they were indeed happy, and they were able to implement all those things and all. After having seen these things and all, they were asking us to do specific energy audit on pumps alone. It's an amusement park. They were having more amount of water rides. So the whole amusement park was having approximately 100 plus pumps. Like we were able to do the energy audit for all the pumps, and then accordingly they were very happy because they were able to save a lot. They were able to save a lot. Like so, based on the interest of the industry, they will even ask you to do the audit on a specific component also. Even this audit also, it will be done. Like so, these are the three broad ways through which we can carry out the energy audit. Preliminary energy audit, first to find out the scope. Detailed, where you have to do the whole study in-house. Like then specific energy audit, whereby you will be going in for the component wise. These things I have explained to you all these things a lot. These are the broad steps which we normally follow in an energy audit. First one, we plan. As I told you, what is the manpower that we have to have? What are the instruments what we have? And what is the attitude of the people that who are there on the industry? Based on that one, we will be able to plan. Data collection. This is an Herculean task. I repeat, this is an Herculean task. You have to prove to the industry that because of energy audit, you were able to save on energy, but for proving, you need to have the historical data. See, kilowatt hour per ton of cement, it will be available for that year, but you have to take for the past 3 years so that you'll be able to have the average value. Only then the industry would be able to accept, yes, of course, this is true. So much kilowatt hour I'll be able to make for every ton. This is understood. So for fixing that baseline, data collection is mandate. You have to take the EB pattern for the past 3 years. By revealing or by understanding the EB bill, you will be able to identify various things. Some revelations also will be there. Example, whether they have exceeded their contract demand. This is case 1. If the contract demand is becoming more, then that indicates that the load scheduling has to be done. And probably if you see the contract demand for the whole year in a day, for the whole year from Jan to December, the contract demand might vary like this also. You have to check this one with the output. If the output of the industry is constant like this, then it indicates that the same quantity output is able to match with this lower amount of KVA also. So then that becomes a case whereby demand side management has to be done. So data collection has to be done. Data analysis also has to be done. These two I'll be able to tell with an example. It becomes much easier. Once when you do these analysis, you can fix on the area where the energy audit has to be done. Then you have to identify the options through which they'll be able to do energy savings. After identifying the measures, you have to carry out techno-economic feasibility analysis. I'll give you an excellent example for this one. Last, how to implement the proposal that has been identified. So with this, I stop because this is the time. Still there are 97 out of 83. Still there are 14 more slides. I'll be able to cover all those slides afterwards. Probably like this, whenever we have some time, accordingly, we'll be able to have things done. Like, is there any doubt for anyone?
Sir?
Yeah, please, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, when you're told, when we're discussing about the steps involved in energy audit, like in the data collection part, say if you are going to your old plant and if you don't have the name details of any of the pumps or motors, and they're asking, the customer is asking us to do an audit on that one, how do we proceed with that aspect, sir?
Without nameplate data, at least the HP of the motor would be available, sir.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay. Only on the motor side, at least we can do that one.
See, for gauging the effectiveness of an equipment, nameplate information has to be available. Only with the nameplate information, we'll be able to have these analysis done. If nameplate information isn't available, at least the HP of the motor has to be available. Only then we'll be able to see if the motor is rewound, then the amount of power what it draws would be higher. Or the motor would have been identified. See, again, there are different analysis on the motors itself, like motor efficiency. If at all you see, if you plot the graph, the efficiency of motor, the efficiency of the motor graph will be like this approximately. At approximately 80% loading of the motor, the efficiency attains peak like, and it will be almost stagnant for some almost 95% load wise. So this is the typical loading pattern in which the whole motor has to be loaded. If you operate the motor at a part load, the motor, though, see, as okay, I think I wouldn't have informed about this one. Basic thing that we people have to understand and appreciate: all utility will be designed to operate at its highest efficiency level. No equipment, no OEM will make any component to operate at a poor efficiency. This is what we people have to understand. No OEM will make an equipment to operate at a degraded efficiency. All OEMs would be making a product that will be able to give the highest operating efficiency. But only one thing, we have to apply at the range in which it is employed for. If you choose a motor, an high capacity motor for an lower load, then you will be operating the motor at part load. Automatically, your efficiency would be lower. This is efficient, this is load. This leads to inefficient operation. But actually, the same motor, If it is loaded to a higher level, it will be operating at an highest possible efficiency. So ultimately, we have to choose the load and then accordingly have it done. If the motor nameplate information isn't available, then at least the rating, at least the HP of the motor has to be available. Then we have to do the energy analysis. We have to see how much amount of power it draws. Only then we'll be able to tell whether the motor is overloaded or not. Only when overloading or underloading is there, we'll be able to go for this efficiency study. If the loading is appropriate, then majority of the motors would be operating effectively or efficiently.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
This is where we were, and I was informing you how the things has to be done. Okay. Now there is also another aspect what we normally do, that this is called as Shanky diagram. Out of 100% of input heat energy from the diesel, how much was available as electrical power? Hardly 35% or 40%. The remaining will go as waste. Remaining 60 will go as waste. And if you have some options whereby you can recover those energy, accordingly, those energies can be used for the applications what it was intended to. Okay, these are general informations like, and after you identify the various energy saving measures, you can classify them as the one which require nil investment, which requires low investment, medium and large. The investment options which require low cost investment, it can be implemented immediately. As a result, you will be able to have the advantage of saving money. Then as time increases, you can have these things done. Like, of course, the medium and large, it depends on the ability of the industry. If the industry has the required money, they can have it done on their own. Else, ESCO model is available. The street lighting pattern, what was addressed to you yesterday morning, ESCO model, energy service companies are available, whereby they will be investing for these energy saving options which require medium or large. Let me tell one example, it becomes easier. Assume that I have a boiler in my factory. This we have done in an audit. I do not have the company named, like they were having an furnace oil fired boiler. Furnace oil was given, water was sent in, water has absorbed the heat, and then accordingly we were able to have steam. This steam was taken for pasteurization. It was a dairy plant. Pasteurization process, it was done. The cost of steam has been arrived and the efficiency, all those things has been arrived, and the whole boiler was operating well. The dairy plant was located in an agriculture belt. We were asking them to replace this furnace oil with either wood or agricultural waste, agricultural residues, what that was available in that area. Their cost of steam, rupees per kg of steam, will become 1/10 as it was earlier. Their cost of steam would have become rupees 110. It will be 1/10 as it was earlier. The moment we were informing that, the management were telling that, sir, this is an HACCP approved plant. We will never be, because once when we go for these agricultural waste, all these things and all, once when we burn, we'll be able to have ash. Handling ash can cause contamination on the outputs. So accordingly, they were telling all those aspects and all. But once when we have informed them about the cost, and once when the techno-economics has been arrived, they were losing 1 lakh rupees every day. Or rather, once when they switch off from FO to these agricultural based fuels, they'll be able to save rupees 1 lakh every day. Once when they have seen the things and all, immediately they have paid a premium, because I think you people would be aware, boilers won't be available off the shelf. You need to fit to order, like. So they paid a premium. They were able to install the boiler immediately, probably within a fortnight, and then accordingly they were operating, like. So for the investment, you can go in for ESCO model, whereby a private entrepreneur or ESCO companies can be invited. They'll be able to install this wood-fired boiler. The cost of steam, they'll be able to have the steam, and the steam will be available for the process, like. There will be some agreement between the ESCO and the industry. The industry will agree to pay the price as that is decided. Accordingly, without any investment, they'll be able to save on the money. This things happens. Right now, this energy service companies, they do these options. they do for steam. For every kg of steam, whatever we do, whatever we take for the plant, it has to be paid. For every tonnage of chilling, refrigeration aspects, you can have it done. Even for compressed air, they do. For every normal cubic meter of air at an elevated pressure, whatever pressure that you need, they'll be able to have it done. Rather, you can focus only on your output. All the requirements for your output will be done by these ESCOs. So it becomes quite easier. Rather, we outsource all the requirements for the production plant. Okay. Now, the second last one, techno-economic feasibility analysis. This is one most important thing that we people have to understand. As we engineers would be aware, technically under the sky, anything is feasible. We can achieve anything. We can achieve anything. Let me quote one simple example. It becomes easier. Technically, all proposals are viable. Economics does matter. We will take one example. Assume that you have a bike. Assume that you have a bike. This bike is giving you 60 kilometers per liter. The cost of the bike, let us take it as 50,000 rupees, half a lakh. And 60 kilometers per liter, as we all are aware, the cost of petrol will be rupees 100 per liter. Assume that you drive 10 kilometers every day. So for every month we drive 300 kilometers. So 300 kilometer by 60. So I have to spend rupees 5 liters on petrol. Approximately rupees 500 would be my fuel cost for every month. There are some options whereby I can do some alterations in the bike. Like as a result, this 60 can become 120 kilometer per liter. The 60 can become 120 kilometer per liter. Some hybridization can be done, or SPV based things it can be done, like, or carburetor can be done, or MPFI, all those techniques can be done. As a result, the mileage can be enhanced to double. But cost wise, it will become 2.5 lakhs. I think you people would be aware the latest bike, like SD has given one adventure. It has released one latest bike like 2.5 lakh rupees. Competition for Royal Enfield's Himalayan bike, like the starting price will be approximately 2.5 lakhs. Now we will see how it works. Like, see, technically it is feasible for me to enhance the mileage of the bike from 60 kilometer per liter to 120 kilometers per liter. If it was 60 kilometer per liter, the fuel cost what I'll be spending out is rupees 500 for every month. Like, if it is 120, for the same 300, the amount of fuel what that has to be supplied is 300 by 120. The amount of fuel what that has to be sent was, it will be 2.5 liters. 5 liters. So 2.5 liters, this multiplied with 100, I have to spend rupees 250 for the fuel. Earlier I was spending 500 rupees for the fuel. Now I spend rupees 250 for the fuel. We can tell we have saved 50%. We have saved 50%. Yes, of course, it is true. By improving the efficiency from 60 to 120, the fuel cost had become half. Accepted, appreciated, all done. But my capital investment had become, earlier it was 0.5 lakhs, now it is 2.5 lakhs. The capital investment had become 2 lakhs extra. For this 2 lakhs, the bank lending rate of interest, we will take it as 12%. So for 2 lakhs, taking 12% per annum, this divided by 12. I have to pay rupees 2,000 rupees every year as interest alone. I think you people would be aware. I have to pay rupees 2,000 for every month towards interest alone. I was able to lower my cost from 500 to 250, appreciated. Yes, all is done, all is well. But the capital investment had become so huge. For the additional investment, what we make, the interest on the investment, what that has been made, overshoots the savings, what that has been achieved. So do techno-economic feasibility analysis. This is mandate. This is mandate. Kindly or blindly don't go by the savings. 50% is savings. Yes, of course it is done. True. But you have to calculate the interest on the investment also to put it in other angle. Rather than investing on this proposal, if I had invested the same money in the bank, the return on the money would have been much higher as compared to what I would have saved. So these aspects has to be taken, accounted, then accordingly or appropriately, you have to invest on the energy saving proposals. We advise the people to go in for simple payback period as an initial one, whether to go or not. After you do this analysis, we also advise them to go for IRR, which is called as internal rate of return, or even NPV also. These two techniques, we have to do that. If the rate of return, whatever you get from IRR is higher than the bank's rate, you can have it across. If NPV value is more positive, then automatically we can invest on the proposal. This is the most important thing. As I had explained to you earlier, technically all proposals under the sky, it will be good, lucrative. Yes, of course, done. It can be done, no problem. But economically, whether it is worthy for us to invest or not, you have to take a call, decide it well, then accordingly have it done. Like, okay, action plan. You have to have a target. You have to choose the one which doesn't require any investment. You have to implement it first, like. And for those which requires higher investment, you can go in for investing on your own, or even you can go in for ESCO mode. Then accordingly, you can have it done. Now, these are the barriers to energy audits. These are the barriers to energy audits. The first and foremost thing what I have encountered in various plans, they will consider energy audit as an additional overhead cost. This is one basic thing what the people have to understand and appreciate also. If at all we invite an energy auditor per day basis, approximately 10,000 rupees has to be spent for his expertise alone. Then for the assistance, for the instruments, for all those things, accommodation, all those things, it will be approximately 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs for a 3-day audit. This is what people will be having onto their mind, and why to invest on this one. This will always be there. Like, so the barriers to energy audit is that first one, energy audit is considered as an overhead cost. That is case one. Second, priority wise, they give for output. Energy audit would be taken as secondary. These two things happens because the client would be unaware about energy audit and its advantages. They'll be ignorant. They wouldn't be aware about the savings, what they'll be able to accrue. So ignorance on energy saving aspects is one major issue that we people have to encounter. So we have to ensure that we will be able to appreciate them. We have to explain them, and we have to take them into confidence about the advantages of doing energy audits. Like, and the seventh one, most important one, the cost of energy on their overall output, it will be very insignificant. Cost of energy on the overall output, it will be very insignificant. To be very precise, or to have it as an example, if you take a jewelry showroom, on the profit margin, the cost what they spend on air conditioning their hall will be very, very low. Hence, it will be overlooked. So this is also an important fact what we people have to understand. So I think we people are aware the 3 major ways through which we'll be able to save the world. The first major way is that save energy. Second one, go for renewable based options whereby it will be environmentally benign. Third one, go for alternate energies whereby we'll be able to have these things done through. So if we are able to do these 3 things, we'll be able to ensure that we will be able to hand over the world as we have got it from our forefathers to our generations to come. So thus, the topic what I've started on day 1 is over.